She was the vicious and demonic consort in the eyes of the world. On her wedding day, she stole another's husband. On her first day, she scared her husband's concubine into fainting and chased her own man to a brothel, making jaws drop. Relying on her reputation as the arrogant princess consort of Beichun, she once dominated Chang'an. But in this world, there was someone even more arrogant and domineering than her. Even when pointed at by 1,000 fingers, he would simply say, "I'm the one who spoils my princess consort. It's none of her damn business," and became famous in Chang'an for it. On the first day of the 5th month in the 7th year of the Xinjin era, Prince Beichun was to marry the Tai family's daughter, Fu Shui, as his princess consort. In all of Chang'an, everyone knew that the Tai family's daughter, Fu Shui, was a virtuous young lady of beautiful appearance and well-read in poetry and literature. But it was this very same wealthy young lady, whose beauty could topple cities, who was swapped on her wedding day by the #1 thief of the martial arts world, the renowned Fairy Huani. As the veil was gently lifted, the entire hall was left dumbfounded. She wore a grand, red wedding dress, her bright eyes rippling with flirtatious charm. From time to time, she would even cast a seductive glance at Prince Beichun. But that wasn't the main point. The main point was that this was not the princess consort of Beichun at all. Even Prince Beichun himself was taken aback by this sudden turn of events, his brow furrowing slightly. The woman's name was Chu Mei. Prince Beichun was not entirely unfamiliar with this woman. The two had even shared a life-or-death experience before. However, her series of seductive gestures genuinely annoyed Prince Beichun. He immediately shouted, "Hand over Fu Shui." But the woman explained with a wronged expression, "The wealthy young lady is perfectly fine at the Grand Tutor's residence. I just want to marry you, Your Highness. I mean no harm." Hearing this, Prince Beichun couldn't help but let the corners of his mouth lift slightly. Even the great Prince Beichun could not escape the shackles of marriage. Now, this whole scene had actually helped him solve the trouble of Fu Shui. How very interesting. He then pulled Chu Mei into his arms, his words teasing and playful. The #1 thief of the martial arts world, the renowned Fairy Huani, actually dared to swap my princess consort and even show her face here. What is your intention? Chu Mei gave a disdainful smile, pulled Prince Beichun's head towards her, and kissed him. The woman did not reveal her purpose. She just found a random excuse and played dead. However, in the eyes of the Fu Tai family, this was an utter humiliation. Ignoring the attempts of others to stop him, he slammed the table and roared, "Your Highness, seize this demonic woman immediately. She dared to cause trouble at the Prince of Beichun's residence. We absolutely cannot let her off lightly." But Prince Beichun just gently wiped the trace of blood from his lips and said in a voice devoid of any warmth, "Who dares to give orders in my Prince Beichun's residence and make decisions for me?" As soon as these words were spoken, even the Grand Tutor, Fu, dared not breathe a word, because they all understood that although he looked like a handsome prince whose hands had never touched menial work, he was, in fact, an iron-willed general who had walked out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. He then swept Chu Mei into his arms. Before leaving, he didn't forget to casually leave a message. "I'll trouble the Grand Tutor to inform the Emperor that this prince already has a princess consort. The marriage agreement with the Grand Tutor's daughter is hereby null and void." She was the vicious and demonic consort in the eyes of the world. On her wedding day, she stole another's husband. People called her the #1 thief of the martial arts world, and she was once given the title of Fairy Huani. However, despite possessing such formidable strength, she was now being given a princess carried by Prince Beichun. But the woman soon realized this wasn't the way to the bridal chamber at all. With an uneasy heart, Chu Mei gently caressed Prince Beichun's delicate face and asked with a seductive tone, "On such a beautiful night, if your highness doesn't spend it with me, wouldn't it be a waste of this fine moment?" But not only was Prince Beichun completely unaffected, with the self-control he had cultivated for 10 years like a monk, he forcefully broke through the illusionary art Chu Mei had cast in an instant. Seeing this, Chu Mei could only give up. After all, in front of this man, the illusionary arts she was so proud were nothing more than petty tricks. As the door was kicked open with a bang, another peerlessly handsome man appeared. Upon seeing them, the man asked with some surprise, "Your Highness, isn't today your wedding day?" The man's name was Luo Jui, rumored to be the most handsome man in the world and also Prince Baichun's male favorite. Chu Mei was equally shocked. Prince Baichun then gently put the woman down and ordered with a blank expression, "His foot is injured. Treat it for him." This command was the last straw. The previously charming Chu Mei instantly flew into a rage. Pointing at the pretty boy on the bed, she snapped, "You're asking me, your newlywed princess consort, to treat your male favorite? Are you kidding me?" Seeing the woman refuse, Prince Baichun's voice turned icy again, issuing a command devoid of any warmth. "Since you want to be my princess consort, then I will first teach you the first rule of the Prince of Baichun's residence. In this residence, whatever I say is an order." He then lifted the woman's delicate chin, giving his final ultimatum that if you can't do it, then the door is that way, and I won't see you out. At this moment, even the great fairy Huani could only force herself to agree. After all, she had not yet achieved her goal. As the door was slammed shut with a bang, both the strong-willed man and Chu Mei's faces twitched. It seemed as if the temperature in the entire room had dropped by several degrees in that instant. So, dear viewers in front of the screen, why don't you take a guess? Will Chu Mei follow Prince Baichun's order and properly heal Luo Jui? She is the #1 thief of the martial arts world, once given the title of Fairy Huani. However, despite possessing such formidable strength, she was now being asked by her husband, with whom she had not yet consummated the marriage, to treat a complete stranger. As the door was slammed shut with a bang, both the strong-willed man and Chu Mei's faces twitched. It seemed as if the temperature in the entire room had dropped by several degrees in that instant. That night, a series of blood-curdling screams echoed throughout the entire Prince of Baichun's residence. The next morning, Chu Mei was like a different person, yawning contentedly. However, the maid beside her had a worried look. After all, last night, Chu Mei had made Luo Jui scream his head off that if he goes to complain, what if the prince throws you out? But the woman turned a deaf ear to these worries. After all, in her dictionary, the person who could kick the great fairy Huani out of the Prince of Baichun's residence hadn't been born yet. But just then, the door was kicked open with a bang by an uninvited guest. The visitor was none other than Prince Baichun's own younger sister, Princess Jing'an. The moment she saw her, the woman furiously pointed and yelled, "You shameless wench of dubious origins, get out of my sight." Chu Mei blinked and looked at the woman in confusion. Even if you are a concubine raised by Prince Baichun, there's a difference in status. I'm the princess consort now. Your manner of greeting seems a bit inappropriate, doesn't it? At this, the woman's anger was instantly ignited. Pointing at Chu Mei, she roared, "Were you to be worthy of being the princess consort? To talk about rules." And Chu Mei could also see that this woman was not to be trifled with. As a counterattack, Chu Mei mistakenly thought the woman was actually the jilted young lady, Fu Shui, here for revenge. She took the opportunity to viciously insult Princess Jing'an's appearance. At this moment, Princess Jing'an, who had always been pampered, felt this was a blatant humiliation. After announcing her identity, she disregarded her status as a princess, drew a long whip she had prepared, and lashed out. But Chu Mei dodged every strike. For a time, both sides were at a stalemate. The stalemate continued. Princess Jing'an could also see that this person's skills were extraordinary, but due to her pride, she did not back down much. She just spat out a harsh threat. "You wretched woman, you want to be the princess consort? In your dreams. Our imperial family will never acknowledge you." However, Chu Mei wasn't actually that concerned about the title of princess consort. No matter how the imperial family viewed her, as long as she could complete her mission, she didn't care what anyone thought of her. With that, she threw the feather duster in her hand to the ground. Chu Mei then vividly compared Princess Jing'an to a phoenix that had fallen from the sky, that it's just that you, this particular one, happened to be molting. Looking in the mirror at her own miserable state, covered in chicken feathers, at this moment, even the great Princess Jing'an was at a loss. She had been thoroughly defeated in both combat and verbal sparring. In the next second, she began to cry unwillingly, "You humiliated me. You just wait. I'm going to find my royal brother and have him divorce you." But could Princess Jing'an really get her wish? If she said her medical skills were second in the world, then no one would dare claim to be first. The world called her Fairy Huani. And not only were her medical skills superb, even her tongue was exceptionally sharp. After being thoroughly humiliated by Fairy Huani, this was the result. She couldn't beat her in a fight, and she couldn't out-talk her either. The previously spoiled and headstrong Princess Jing'an shed tears of grievance for the first time, crying that she would go find her royal brother to seek justice for herself. But could her wish really come true? Meanwhile, Prince Baichen had also learned the full story of what happened last night. According to reliable intelligence from his guards, that night, a series of blood-curdling screams was heard incessantly. But considering Luo Jui's condition, Fairy Huani could have easily healed the injury but deliberately tormented him, which shows her vicious heart that we hope your highness will reconsider and drive this woman out of the residence. But Prince Baichen turned to look at the recovered Luo Jui and said nothing, as if he had already made a decision. For the sake of the bigger picture, Luo Jui forced himself to defend Chu Mei. He didn't want Prince Baichen's judgment of the situation to be clouded because of him. After all, since the prince kept her, she must have her uses. At this moment, the atmosphere froze. No one dared to make a sound. But just then, the headstrong and unreasonable Princess Jing'an, ignoring the guards' attempts to stop her, walked straight up to the two of them. The moment she saw them, she demanded that her royal brother drive Chu Mei out. Seeing this farce, Luo Jui, lying on the bed, ultimately chose to side with Fairy Huani. Watching his sister's eyes well up with tears, Prince Baichen only needed a simple glance to understand her little thoughts. Jing'an, who gave you the nerve to spout nonsense here? Luo Jui also tried to mediate from the side. Her Highness the Princess is just speaking out of anger. Your Highness, please don't take it to heart. Besides, the princess consort was properly married by your Highness. She can't be divorced just because of a word from the princess. At this moment, seeing the two brothers who used to dote on her now turning against her for a newly appointed princess consort, while her royal brother relentlessly questioned her, who instructed you to go kick down the princess consort's door so early in the morning. Jing'an felt a myriad of unwillingness in her heart, but she did not show too much of it, only stating angrily that she had done it all by herself. Upon learning that his sister was just unilaterally standing up for Fu Shui, Prince Baichen let out a long sigh of relief. Thankfully, she wasn't instigated by someone else to cause trouble. He then reached out and stroked his sister's forehead, reminding her, remember, she is my princess consort. In the future, do not be rude to her. Seeing his sister still wanted to argue, Prince Baichen directly ordered Mo Yen, who had been waiting for a long time, to take her away. Do you know how Prince Baichen and Fairy Huani met? After settling Princess Jing'an, even the peerlessly handsome Luo Jui couldn't help but sigh. Her Highness the Princess is still too naive. Fu Shui was a pawn planted by the Emperor from the start. Even if Chu Mei hadn't crashed the wedding yesterday, it would have been my turn to put on a show. The fact that Fu Shui is still alive and well is already a mercy from Prince Baichen. However, on the other hand, the sudden appearance of Chu Mei made her another object of suspicion. After the tireless efforts of his subordinates, they finally found a clue. Last year, Prince Baichen was ambushed and was taken in by Miss Chu, who also treated his injuries. However, the person in question was completely unaware that Chu Mei had helped him. After waking up, he only found that a jade pendant he carried with him was missing. After much inquiry, it has now been confirmed that the jade pendant is in Chu Mei's possession. Prince Baichen seemed to have anticipated this result. Do you think she would dare to come to the Prince of Baichen's residence if her plan wasn't flawless? Your Highness means? Luo Jui's eyes paused, a trace of doubt flashing across his face. There's something wrong with Miss Chu. Prince Baichen's gaze was like a knife as he coldly threw out two words: continue surveillance. This prince must know who she is colluding with. At the same time, a panicked voice broke the original silence of the Prince of Baichen's residence. A maid was seen running in anxiously to report. This morning, His Highness went to the palace for an audience with the Emperor. This evening, the Emperor sent over 4 beauties. Equally surprised was Fairy Huani. Chu Mei, don't rush. Speak slowly. The maid then recounted while panting, it's strange. The Prince of Baichen's residence has never had women for so many years. The Emperor sends beautiful concubines to His Highness every year, but His Highness never accepts them. I don't know what happened this time, but His Highness accepted those 4 beauties without a second word. Hearing this, the tension in Chu Mei's eyes gradually faded, and her face was once again filled with her usual seductive smile. She said jokingly, "What's so strange about that? A man, after being abstinent for so long, suddenly marries me, gets a taste of something new, and naturally gets addicted." However, before Chu Mei could finish her sentence, a figure suddenly appeared at the door, making her swallow the words she was about to say. What is it like to have a husband who is not interested in women? After a simple greeting, Chu Mei took the opportunity to talk about Prince Beichen's 4 new concubines. Because according to her intelligence, Prince Beichen was a hero who was never interested in women. She also wanted to use this opportunity to see if she could get any clues about this sudden situation from Prince Beichen's mouth. But the ideal was plump, while reality was bony. She didn't get any information about the concubines, but instead, the matter of the jade pendant was brought to the table. Prince Beichen spoke first. "Keep the jade pendant. With it, except for the Lia Pavilion and the Peach Blossom Islet, you can do as you please with any place or person in the backyard of the Prince of Beichen's residence." However, the strong woman Chu Mei was no ordinary person. Although he said everything was under her control, his real purpose was just to use her as a weapon to deal with the emperor's pawns. The two chatted idly like this. Out of courtesy, Chu Mei did not interrupt, only stating with confidence, "I will certainly manage the household fairly and will not have conflicts with my other sisters." As it was getting late, Chu Mei was about to get up to see off her husband in name. After all, the Prince of Beichen's residence had gained 4 new sisters today. She even asked with a teasing tone at the end, "Which sister's residence is your highness heading to first?" However, to her surprise, Prince Beichen walked directly to the bed and sat down. "That I'll sleep on the bed, you sleep on the couch." At this moment, even the strong woman Chu Mei was speechless. Where in the world is there a married couple that sleeps in separate beds? However, Prince Beichen, known as a man of steel, was not only completely unmoved by the charming Chu Mei, but even said with a serious face, "The first rule of the Prince of Beichen's residence. Do I need to remind you?" Seeing this, Chu Mei could only give up and obediently lie down on the couch. And Chu Mei stayed awake all night, staring intently at her husband in name, wondering what he was thinking. Today was the day the young master assigned a new mission. However, the content of this mission was truly a bit perverse. It actually required Chu Mei to find out within a month if there was a special mark on Prince Beichen's body. In the past, such a mission would have been as easy as drinking water for Chu Mei. But now, the target of the mission had become the celibate Prince Beichen. Even the strong woman Chu Mei couldn't help but sigh. Isn't the difficulty of this mission at an epic level? Moreover, the letter didn't specify where the mark was, and it could even be in a more private place. At this moment, the belatedly aware Chu Mei felt a wave of fear. After all, Prince Beichen, known as a man of steel, usually didn't let any woman near him. Forget about looking at him. If I dare to take off one piece of his clothing, he would dare to have me executed. She then put on a pitiful look and asked Qinglian if this mission could be assigned to someone else. However, Qinglian seemed to have expected Chu Mei to say this and replied firmly, "No. Good luck, master." Seeing that playing pitiful wouldn't work, Chu Mei changed her previously dejected demeanor, took out her red robe, and put it on. At this moment, the strong woman Chu Mei was officially online. She thought to herself, for the sake of the mission, I'll just have to go all out. From Qinglian's mouth, Chu Mei also learned that Prince Beichen was currently meeting with the young marquis at the Jiangnan Pavilion. She immediately took her little follower and headed straight for the brothel. At the same time, the brothel was already packed. After all, the prince's aesthetic standards were extremely picky. The batch that just went in, he didn't fancy a single one. Next, the liaison carefully selected a few more beautiful young girls to go in and try their luck. Before they left, he specially instructed, apply more of the good rouge. If you are chosen, it will be your good fortune. And Chu Mei had also hidden herself among them. Before entering the building, she specially instructed Qinglian to keep watch outside. After all, by following them, she could find Prince Beichen, Tuoba Chun. Can you believe that Prince Beichen, who is always uninterested in women, would actually go to a place like a brothel? Watching the several charming and beautiful women enter the private room one after another, even the young marquis of the Changhua Principality became restless. However, Prince Beichen at the side remained as steady as an old dog the entire time. Seeing this, Pei Xiaonan couldn't help but tease him. Your Highness, look at this row of spring flowers and autumn moons. Even if you already have a wife and concubines, how can they compare to the girls of this Chunjiang pavilion? Besides, that princess consort of yours, isn't she just a crude woman from the martial arts world? His words caused the accompanying girls around them to giggle. But Prince Baichen frowned and was about to get up and leave. Pei Xiaonan quickly stopped him. Seeing Prince Baichen's impatient expression, he could only explain with a pained face, I just want that treasure. You could just trade with me. Treasure? Chu Mei's ears perked up. Could Pei Xiaonan be talking about the Wuhou art of war? Could it be that he knows the item is with Prince Baichen and wants to trade for it? At the same time, a look of expected understanding flashed in Prince Baichen's eyes. He raised an eyebrow. What will you trade me for it? But in fact, as the #1 dandy of Chang'an, Pei Xiaonan was not interested in rare collectibles. The only thing he could offer was the famous courtesan of the Chunjiang pavilion, with whom he spent his days and nights. Miss Han Yan, she is even on par with that former top courtesan who left with you back then, Miss Kuyu. He then gave Prince Baichen a guarantee. As long as your highness is willing, I'll have her sent to your residence immediately. However, just as Pei Xiaonan was talking eloquently, Prince Baichen, with just a casual glance, discovered Chu Mei hiding behind the crowd. At this, Chu Mei could only lower her head in shame. Even Fairy Huani couldn't help but sigh. Damn, his awareness is so good. With a whole room of people staring at him, he could still spot me. However, Prince Baichen just casually dropped a few words. I have a shrew at home, so I cannot accept. His words made the surrounding girls laugh heartily. However, Chu Mei at the side wished she could find a hole to crawl into. Pei Xiaonan leaned forward with a wicked smile, earnestly giving Prince Baichen advice. Oh, you want me to help you discipline that shrew? However, just then, the previously silent Chu Mei made a grand entrance that I'm done pretending. I'm laying my cards on the table. Saying such things in front of me, doesn't that seem a bit inappropriate? What do you think a scene of catching a cheater should look like? At this moment, Fairy Huani, Chu Mei, deeply felt it. Since when is it an outsider's turn to make decisions about the affairs of the Prince of Baichen's residence? The one who said this was none other than the up-and-coming Fairy Huani, Chu Mei. After all, Chu Mei had just married Prince Baichen yesterday. Now, only a day later, the impatient Pei Xiaonan was not only offering concubines, but also instigating a divorce. As the saying goes, if the tolerable can endure it, the divine cannot. Now that the person and evidence were all present, Chu Mei was going to use this opportunity to properly strike at these lackeys of the emperor. At this moment, the large room felt like a battlefield. Seeing such a tough woman, even this young master who had seen the world, was startled. Afterwards, Chu Mei even gave Prince Baichen a meaningful look. However, Pei Xiaonan just needed one glance to remember. Isn't this the woman from the martial arts world who crashed Prince Baichen's wedding? He snapped his fan shut, his face filled with nothing but disbelief. Afterwards, Chu Mei also thoroughly humiliated Pei Xiaonan. At this moment, Pei Xiaonan, knowing he was in the wrong, was furious but dared not speak. Then, Chu Mei wrapped her arms around Prince Baichen's neck, returning to her usual charming and seductive persona. Your Highness, last night you said you only loved me. You can't go back on your word. Hearing this, Prince Baichen's heart exploded. He thought, give her an inch and she'll take a mile. Was it a mistake to ask her to clean up this mess? Seeing the two of them getting up to leave, Pei Xiaonan was shocked. Disregarding his status as the #1 dandy of Chang'an, he asked, what will it take for you to trade? But what greeted him was still a dead end. Chu Mei couldn't help but think to herself, how could I possibly let you have the Wuhou art of war? After all, from the moment she stepped into the Prince of Baichen's residence, her only goal was the Wuhou art of war. At this moment, it felt like 10,000 horses were stampeding in Pei Xiaonan's heart, strolling on the streets of Chang'an. The ever-composed Prince Baichen suddenly said, although the Qishao sword is priceless, it's at best just a piece of scrap metal. If Pei Xiaonan can offer something good, a trade is not impossible. At this moment, Chu Mei's face was filled with nothing but disbelief. After confirming again and again, seeing the affirmative look in Prince Baichen's eyes, although Chu Mei pretended to be calm on the surface, she was already cursing him in her heart. I've been talking myself hoarse for so long, and it was all for a piece of scrap metal. What happens when a schemer meets a ruthless master? The two had just stepped through the main gate when they learned that Fu Shui had been kneeling at the entrance of Prince Baichen's bedchamber all morning and had now fainted. But it must be said, her acting was a bit over the top. Chu Mei only needed a simple glance to know that Fu Shui was just pretending to be unconscious. She thought she knew I wasn't in the palace, yet she came to pay her respects. Using fainting to gain sympathy is too easy to see through. However, Chumei didn't expose the charade. After all, for this kind of person, reasoning with them is useless. Extreme measures are necessary. After Chu Mei's diagnosis, she quickly deduced Fu Shui's illness and even claimed to have a perfect remedy that could cure her in an instant. With that, she pulled out 3 silver needles from her sleeve. At this moment, Fu Shui, lying on the bed, was scared silly, seeing Fu Shui still trying to refuse. Chumei struck first. The next second, a sharp pain shot through the strong-willed woman's hand, and Fu Shui immediately became much more alert. As the saying goes, she tried to steal a chicken, but lost a handful of rice instead. Seeing that Chumei wanted to stick the remaining 2 needles into her, Fu Shui, forgetting her original purpose, could only push her away with all her might. She was afraid that Chumei would really send her to her maker. However, Chumei did not make things too difficult for Fu Shui. Seeing that the woman had received her due punishment, she let it be. After a simple farewell, she left gracefully. However, it seemed Fu Shui had really fainted from fright. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the ground. Meanwhile, in the peach blossom islet, Prince Beichen sat on the ground in a white robe, letting the bone-chillingly cold water wash over his body. However, Chumei also snuck over with shifty eyes. According to Qinglian, Tuoba Chen usually practiced his skills here, and now was a good opportunity to see where his mark was. With that, she tiptoed and hid behind a nearby boulder. But when she saw Prince Beichen's chiseled physique for the first time, she couldn't help but want to touch it. However, while Chu Mei was in a daze, Prince Beichen was already in front of her with a fierce look in his eyes. Do you know the consequences of disturbing Prince Beichen's training? With just a slight exertion of force from Prince Beichen, his strong, powerful hand almost made Chu Mei suffocate. That I warned you. You are not allowed to enter the Peach Blossom Islet without permission. But Chu Mei could neither reveal her purpose nor stop trying to please this celibate Prince Beichen. In such a solemn atmosphere, she could only say that she came from the back mountain. And I just wanted to see my husband. What's wrong with that? This line actually managed to placate Prince Beichen. His strong, powerful hand slowly loosened from Chu Mei's neck. Although Prince Beichen was highly skeptical of her words, he couldn't just drag her out and execute her on the grounds of peeping on his training. Afterwards, the recovered Chu Mei chose this moment to ask the question that had been weighing on her mind for a long time. Your Highness, after our marriage, you first took in concubines, and then you went to a brothel. Are you just treating me as a decoration? Just give me a straight answer. Prince Beichen's expression gradually softened, and the corners of his lips lifted slightly. If I were to tell you to leave, would you leave immediately? Of course not. I would definitely hug your leg and cry my eyes out, Chu Mei said with a matter-of-fact look. Prince Beichen then gently lifted Chu Mei's chin and said with a warning tone, "Then that settles it. Chu Mei, my princess consort can be arrogant and domineering. She can run rampant. But there is one thing. If I find out you are even the slightest bit disloyal to me, there's only one outcome, and that is death." His tone was consistently flirtatious, even with a hint of teasing. But Chu Mei felt a chill run down her spine, because when he said the last word, his deep eyes flashed with killing intent, like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood rushing towards her. This time, Chu Mei was completely suppressed by his aura. She lowered her eyes, not daring to meet his gaze, and shivered inwardly. Playing tricks under the nose of a man, like Tooba Jean, was like dancing on the edge of a knife. But she had no other choice. She had to complete her mission. Watching Chu Mei's departing figure, Prince Beichen became more and more interested in this woman. After all, under his harsh interrogation, she could still remain calm and choose to feign cleverness. Can you believe that Prince Beichen, who was always known to be uninterested in women, actually had a shameless love affair with a popular courtesan of the Chunjiang Pavilion, Miss Kuyu? Watching Chu Mei's departing figure, Prince Beichen became more and more interested in this woman. After all, under his harsh interrogation, she could still remain calm and choose to feign cleverness. However, in the next second, Chu Mei's legs cramped up and she fell into the pool. At this critical moment, the celibate Prince Beichen made his move. He pulled the woman out of the bone-chillingly cold pool. Sigh, this woman really can't take a compliment. I just praised her, and she makes a fool of herself. However, it seemed the woman's focus was not on this. The first thing she said after coming to her senses was, "It's over. I drank your bathwater." After all, the prince had been soaking in this pool for hours. Could he have not been able to hold it in? However, before the woman could finish her sentence, Prince Beichun cut her off sharply, seeing Chu Mei still relentlessly seeking. "The truth of the matter," Prince Beichun said with a teasing tone. "What do you think?" "Of course not." At this moment, the woman let out a long sigh of relief. Then, she didn't forget to say aggrievedly, "You're bullying me." It seemed that only at this moment, the two of them truly let down their guard and finally looked a bit like an old married couple. However, just then, another stunning beauty appeared. As the two of them turned their heads in unison, they saw a plainly dressed young woman walk out from the bushes. In her hands, she held Prince Beichun's clothes. "Your Highness, be careful not to catch a cold. Please put on your clothes first." Qingji's purpose in coming here was merely to deliver a message for the young Master Luo, and to thoughtfully bring Prince Beichun a change of clothes. Seeing Prince Beichun give the clothes she had thoughtfully brought to Chu Mei to wear, Qingji was still a little jealous. However, she wasn't foolish enough to provoke his officially married princess consort in front of Prince Beichun. She just elegantly and tactfully flattered Chu Mei. Even Chu Mei didn't expect that there was such a beauty in the Prince of Beichun's residence. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he was hiding a beauty in a golden house. But what surprised Chu Mei was, did she just glare at me? After a simple farewell, she left gracefully. Now, a month's time is not long, but it's not short either. However, the intelligence about the mark was pitifully scarce. She hadn't even touched a single strand of his hair. After Qinglian's tireless efforts, she only managed to find out that the midwife who delivered the prince and the people who had served him in the past all died in a fire. And it didn't seem like a coincidence, but more like a deliberate cover-up. Listening to Qinglian's various pieces of intelligence, Chu Mei's headache grew worse. She knew that there must be a huge mystery hidden here, but she had no idea where to start. Afterwards, Chu Mei asked about Miss Kuyu. 5 years ago, Miss Kuyu was the top courtesan of the Chunjiang Pavilion. She was later taken away by Prince Beichun and accompanied him on his southern and northern campaigns. However, to everyone's surprise, the concubine personally chosen by the great Prince of Beichun died on the battlefield 3 years ago. From then on, Prince Beichun returned to the capital, gave up all his power, and lived a peaceful life of retirement. It seemed that this incident had also deeply affected Prince Beichun. However, Kuyu also had a twin sister named Qingji, who now resides in the Peach Blossom Islet. She then warned her master, "She is someone the prince values greatly. Your Highness, you must not offend her." The night was deep. Chu Mei lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The matter of the Wuhou art of war had actually been put aside by her. 10 days had already passed since the 1-month deadline given by the young master. But since the last peeping incident, the mission had made no progress. This was also the first time Chu Mei felt the difficulty of this mission. Suddenly, a cold wind blew and the window rattled. Chu Mei sat up by reflex. Although the lamp was not lit, Chu Mei could clearly feel that this person was already standing by her bed, that "I am the princess consort of Beichun. What do you want?" Chu Mei held 2 silver needles between her fingers in a ready-to-strike posture. She had undertaken so many missions without a single failure, but most of them were won through wit, using illusionary arts and lightness skills. In this kind of close encounter, it was uncertain who would emerge victorious. But what surprised Chu Mei even more was, where is Qinglian, who was guarding the door? She is a martial arts expert. How could this person bypass Qinglian and sneak in so silently? At this moment, a sense of fear arose spontaneously. It had been a long time since Chu Mei had experienced such a feeling. As the oil lamp by the bed was suddenly lit, what came into view was a face that was all too familiar. When Chu Mei saw who it was, she couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. At the same time, the silver needles had already disappeared. "Your Highness, why are you scaring people in the middle of the night? You made me think there was an assassin." Prince Beichun looked the woman up and down, the corners of his lips lifting slightly. He stated calmly, "Fairy Huani, Chu Mei, your illusionary arts can bewitch souls. Your medical skills can save the dying, righteous and evil. The #1 mysterious expert of a martial arts world. Many people have witnessed your medical skills, but not many have witnessed your illusionary arts. Because those who have witnessed them are all dead. But looking at your reaction just now, I should add another line. Highly vigilant and skilled in hidden weapons. Am I wrong? Chu Mei was first startled, but then she smiled faintly. Within my expectations, Your Highness should have already known this information on the night of our wedding. Indeed, I wonder what Your Highness means by telling me this now. Hearing this, Prince Beichen also stopped pretending. He got straight to the point and stated his purpose for coming here. Use your illusionary arts to help me ask about something. Prince Beichen's eyes were sharp. As a test, Chu Mei asked cautiously, "Ask who?" After all, if Prince Beichen was asking her to deal with someone from the young master's side, she could be prepared. Prince Beichen's gaze flickered, and he simply spat out 3 words: Tiansha Pavilion, Huangquan. Chu Mei had long heard of this famous assassin. Since he wasn't from the young master's faction, there was nothing to protect. In an instant, the previously startled Chu Mei transformed into an eager-to-try look. As long as Your Highness is willing, I can even find out which concubine's room he slept in last night. He is the renowned assassin of the Tiansha Pavilion, Huangquan. 3 years ago, he single-handedly broke into the Beichun military camp and killed Prince Beichen's personally chosen concubine on the spot. And this incident became a lifelong regret for Prince Beichen. Now, 3 years have passed in a flash. The once arrogant assassin Huangquan, through the tireless efforts of the court, was finally captured. However, at this moment, he has become a key suspect in the case of the court's missing 500,000 taels of silver. Facing the emperor's vast power, Prince Beichen could only secretly ask for help from Fairy Huani, Chu Mei, trying to use her illusionary arts to find the truth from 3 years ago. And in exchange, Chu Mei proposed using a full-body portrait of Prince Beichen as her reward. Even though Prince Beichen had excellent self-control, his face still stiffened. Seeing that he couldn't get anything out of Chu Mei, Prince Beichen could only give up. After all, prying open Huang Chuan's mouth was the most important thing right now. Strolling through the night-shrouded Chang'an, the two soon arrived at the residence of Prince Shiqing. On the way, Chu Mei had wondered more than once why they didn't conduct the interrogation in their own residence, but instead went to Prince Shiqing's place. As the prison door was pushed open, Prince Beichen finally saw the man wanted by various factions. At the same time, all the guards in the prison had been dealt with by Luo Jui. Now, everything was ready, only lacking the final push. However, the man at this moment was already on his last breath. Chu Mei knelt down and placed her hand on his pulse. He is unconscious due to excessive blood loss. But this is even better. I can directly use dream art. Then what should I ask? Prince Beichen then said with a slightly urgent tone, 3 years ago, who issued the mission to assassinate Kuyu? To be honest, this was the first time Chu Mei had seen such a nervous expression on Prince Beichen. Then, under the watchful eyes of the two, Chu Mei sat cross-legged point 3 years ago. Who ordered you to assassinate Kuyu? With a snap of her fingers, the illusion art was activated. The man who had just been on the verge of death suddenly woke up with a start. But in a short while, the first person to collapse was actually Fairy Huani. Chu Mei wiped the remaining blood from the corner of her mouth. In response to Luo Jui's inquiry, Chu Mei said she had tried her best. The only thing in Huang Chuan's mind is the word Toba, and whenever he thinks of this name, he breaks down. He is now mentally unstable and cannot be interrogated further. It seemed that he had already found the answer he was looking for. Prince Beichen picked up Chu Mei in his arms and instructed Luo Jui at the side, "I'll take her back to rest first. After you've handled things here, bring some nourishing supplements to the Yunzi Palace." With that, he left the scene. This was the first time the woman felt that Prince Beichen was so warm. Even though I ultimately failed to find out who the mastermind was, he wasn't angry and was so concerned about me. I never thought he had such a considerate side. She was the woman known to the world as Fairy Huani. Proud since childhood, the word failure was not in her dictionary. However, in an operation tonight, the proud Chu Mei tasted defeat for the first time. Facing the rock-solid prisoner, Chu Mei tried to use illusionary arts to directly find the answers she wanted from the man's dreams. But unfortunately, Huangquan, known as the strongest assassin of the Tiansha Pavilion, was no ordinary person. On the day he was captured, he had already been tampered with by someone with ulterior motives. Whenever he recalled that memory that should have been erased, he would fall into an endless breakdown, sometimes even becoming mentally unstable. Faced with this unexpected situation, even Fairy Huani, Chu Mei, was helpless. and she herself suffered a backlash from it. At this moment, Chu Mei tasted defeat for the first time. However, as she was feeling dejected, Prince Beichun naturally became her strongest support. Facing the nourishing supplements sent by Luo Jui, Chu Mei first accepted them enthusiastically, then asked in confusion, why did the prince interrogate Huang Quan not in his own residence, but at the prince of Xiqing's dungeon? In fact, Luo Jui was also very helpless about this matter, because Huang Quan was originally captured by the prince of Xiqing, and Huang Quan is not only related to the death of Miss Ku Yu, but he is also inextricably linked to the court's missing 500,000 taels of silver. So both Prince Beichun and the emperor want this man. That's right, Prince Beichun is afraid of him. He's afraid the emperor will execute Huang Quan first. That's why he was willing to lower himself and make a deal with Chu Mei, even offering his own full-body portrait as a reward, just to find the truth from 3 years ago. So, that's why the great Prince Beichun and his princess consort snuck into the Prince of Xiqing's residence in the middle of the night, to secretly conduct an interrogation leading to such a farce. After briefly understanding the ins and outs of the matter, Chu Mei became more and more interested in Prince Beichun's background. In Chang'an, everyone knew of the deep brotherly bond between the Tuoba imperial family. But just by looking at Prince Beichun, one could confirm that this was all a rumor. At least, Tuoba Zhan and the emperor were not on good terms. Who knows how many more secrets are hidden in this? However, the recovered Chu Mei did not express too much of her own opinion, only echoing Luo Jui. Before leaving, Luo Jui specially presented a picture album, saying that this album was specially prepared for her by Prince Beichun. He also said it was something the princess consort had been longing for. But must be said, this Prince Beichun is incredibly fast. Could it be that he had already drawn that thing long ago? She was the woman known as Fairy Huani. In order to complete the mission assigned by the young master, she did not hesitate to ask her husband in name for a full-body portrait as a reward. However, when the picture album was actually in her hands, even Fairy Huani, Chu Mei, couldn't help but exclaim, "This is simply divine speed." With a nervous heart, Chu Mei suspiciously opened the album, but just one look made her pretty face flush, and she slammed the book shut with a snap. The person in the painting was indeed very something. This was a damn erotic art book. Chu Mei cursed Prince Beichun under her breath, and with a wave of her hand, she threw out the album that would make any viewer blush. As the saying goes, good things come in pairs. Just when Chu Mei thought the matter was over, a clear, angry shout from outside the wall broke the original tranquility of the Yunzi Palace. Pei Xiaonan was seen holding the picture album, having easily climbed onto the high wall, not forgetting to tease Chu Mei. I didn't expect the princess consort to have a hobby of looking at erotic art books. Chu Mei glared at the man angrily. Then, with the speed of lightning, Pei Xiaonan flashed in front of them. He then presented a pile of gold and silver jewelry to Chu Mei with a fawning look. The man's purpose in coming here was actually just for the Qi Shao sword, because in his perception, women just like shiny things. However, the sudden appearance of the picture album was an unexpected event. Now, having caught her in a compromising position, Pei Xiaonan became even more unscrupulous. However, Chu Mei, knowing she was in the wrong, blushed to the tips of her ears, wishing she could find a hole to crawl into right then and there. Chu Mei then snatched the picture album back. In fact, she couldn't do anything about the Qi Shao sword. After all, the ownership of that thing was with Prince Beichun. Saying so, she was about to make the man take back these valuables. But as the #1 dandy of Chang'an, Pei Xiaonan's understanding of women was that these gold and silver jewels were simply not enough to catch the eye of Fairy Huani. As long as the bait was tempting enough, there was nothing that couldn't be done. In the end, he even made a bold promise, "Whatever I can get, I'll get it for you immediately." At this moment, Chu Mei, who had been refusing him, suddenly had a flash in her eyes. She looked the man up and down. Pei Xiaonan suddenly felt a chill run down his spine, with a feeling that he was about to be sold. So, dear viewers in front of the screen, what do you think Chu Mei will do? Will she play Pei Xiaonan in the palm of her hand? There is a sword in the world named Qi Shao. Although it was once hailed as priceless in the secular world, in the eyes of professionals, It is no different from scrap metal. However, it was this very piece of scrap metal that made the great #1 dandy of Chang'an, Pei Xiaonan, feel both love and hate. First, there was Liu Bei visiting the thatched cottage 3 times. Now, there's Pei Xiaonan, who, in pursuit of a case, has lowered his status and spent a fortune to seek an audience with the currently arrogant and domineering princess consort Beichen for love. However, even after spending such a fortune, he still couldn't break the cycle of returning empty-handed. She said this as she was about to have the man take these valuable items back. But as Chang'an's #1 dandy, Pei Xiaonan's understanding of women was that these gold and silver jewels were simply not enough to impress someone who plays hard to get. As long as the bait is tempting enough, there's nothing that can't be done. In the end, he didn't hesitate to make a bold statement. Anything I can get, I'll get it for you immediately. At this moment, Chu Mei, who had been refusing him outright, suddenly had a flash in her eyes and looked the man up and down. Pei Xiaonan felt a chill run down his spine, with a feeling that he was about to be sold out. And, as a trade, Pei Xiaonan had to create an opportunity for Chu Mei to see Prince Beichen's entire body. Pei Xiaonan's heart was ice cold at this moment. Although his relationship with Prince Beichen was not shallow, the difficulty of this task was no different from an egg hitting a stone. Pei Xiaonan was about to explode with anger over this passive situation. However, Chu Mei seemed to have already grasped Pei Xiaonan's weakness, using the Qishao treasured sword as a bargaining chip to force Pei Xiaonan to participate in her plan. Honestly, I really can't imagine what's so alluring about the Qishao treasured sword that it would make Chang'an's #1 dandy take such a risk to acquire it. The result of a negotiation was that Pei Xiaonan bet the rest of his life and boarded the airship with Chu Mei. Afterwards, Chu Mei confidently explained the basic details of the mission to Pei Xiaonan. You just need to use the Qishao treasured sword as a reason to challenge Prince Beichen to a sparring match. And you don't need to win, you just need to injure him. Afterwards, I will treat his wound and can then justifiably take off his clothes. However, Pei Xiaonan felt like crying at this moment. After all, he spent his days in debauchery, and even his physical strength was not what it used to be. How could he dare to challenge a military leader seasoned on the battlefield? He'd be thankful if he didn't get beaten to a pulp. However, Chu Mei also saw the man's hesitation and then confidently stated, "Don't worry too much. I have a clever plan to help you," before leaving gracefully, leaving Pei Xiaonan in a state of utter confusion. Have you ever seen a newbie from the starting village challenge a max-level boss? Faced with Pei Xiaonan's repeated provocations, Prince Beichen sat firmly on his throne, as steady as a rock. With his understanding of Pei Xiaonan, he naturally knew there was something fishy going on. After all, if they really fought, with Pei Xiaonan's pathetic skills, it really wouldn't be much of a show. Immediately, Prince Beichen raised an eyebrow and said meaningfully, "What do you plan to lose to me?" However, Chu Mei, who had been waiting by the side for a long time, not only didn't speak up for him, but instead fanned the flames. At this moment, Pei Xiaonan, who was already alone and isolated, felt his heart sink. His goal from the very beginning was only to get the Qishao sword. Now, not only had he lost his gold and silver jewels, but he might not even be able to keep his life. However, how could the all-seeing Prince Beichen not know their little scheme? He suddenly sat up in 3 days. After issuing the challenge at the West City training grounds, he left gracefully with Chu Mei. Seeing that the goal was achieved, Pei Xiaonan felt there was no need to stay any longer. But he couldn't help but complain in his heart. This couple is ruthless when it comes to setting people up. Next up, the green tea concubine is about to make her appearance. As soon as they met, it was the same old opening line. As the saying goes, one doesn't visit a temple without a cause. Although Fu Shui repeatedly said she came to apologize to the princess consort, was that really the truth? Just as the two were talking happily, another uninvited guest appeared. Princess Jing'an kicked the door open with great force and even declared, "Chu Mei, you threw away the 7-jade emerald bracelet that the Empress Dowager gave me. Just wait to go to jail." Chu Mei, who had no idea what was going on, naturally couldn't admit to this sword suddenly hanging over her head. And Fu Shui, who was by her side, although she was pleading for Chu Mei on the surface, was already overjoyed in her heart. At this moment, the war between the two women officially began. However, just as the two started their map-wide attack, a maidservant, looking flustered, respectfully presented an emerald bracelet. As Fu Shui's confidant, she naturally just said aggrievedly, I heard the princess lost her jade bracelet, and only then did I think that this bracelet might have been obtained improperly. Now, with both a witness and physical evidence, the slow to react Chu Mei immediately realized that this was another scheme orchestrated by Fu Shui. This move of framing someone was really something. Chu Mei never expected it from the beginning. As for Tuoba Zhan's sister, she was, not surprisingly, being used as a pawn by Fu Shui again. If you're framed by someone with ulterior motives, what would you choose to do? Faced with Princess Jingen's fierce attack, even the illusionist fairy was having a hard time holding her ground. After a moment of thought, she had her servant bring another identical bracelet. As the saying goes, what goes around comes around. Princess Jingen, who was so arrogant and unreasonable before, was now completely stunned. But due to her pride, she clearly didn't care about this truth. And the instigator of the incident, Fu Shui, chose to feign ignorance. Even Fu Shui didn't expect such a situation to occur. No wonder the two of them had such expressions. After all, this bracelet was the stake for the duel between Pei Xiaonan and Prince Beichen. The confident Prince Beichen had long predicted that Pei Xiaonan would lose, so he had Chu Mei accepted in advance. At this moment, the tables turned instantly. Chu Mei, who was previously at a disadvantage, immediately turned the tables, using Prince Beichen's name to pressure Princess Jingen so much that she couldn't even lift her head. Realizing she had picked on the wrong person, Princess Jingen grabbed the culprit, Fu Shui, and was about to flee. But could the two of them really walk out of this door unscathed? The illusionist fairy had already blocked their way. Out of respect for Prince Beichen, Chu Mei naturally wouldn't dare to do anything to Princess Jingen. As for Fu Shui, Chu Mei pondered for a moment and said, "Just now, you addressed me directly by my name. I am the princess consort, and you are just a concubine. Can a concubine address the principal wife by her name? It wouldn't be too much to send you to the Dongren Prefecture now. However, we shouldn't air our dirty laundry in public to avoid upsetting Prince Beichen if he finds out." It seemed Chu Mei didn't want to blow the matter up and just had Fu Shui copy the family rules 10 times as punishment. Afterwards, the still unsatisfied Princess Jingen clamored to go to Prince Beichen for judgment. However, she was interrupted by Fu Shui, who knew she was in the wrong. It's hard to tell if Princess Jingen is genuinely foolish or just pretending. She was sold out and still didn't know she was helping others count the money. Time came to the evening. Chu Mei, sensing something was wrong, specifically asked Qinglian to find a new steward. But what appeared on the envelope next made Chu Mei's pretty face change. The envelope clearly stated that Prince Beichen was inviting her to bathe with him. Now, the deadline for the mission her young master assigned her was approaching. This sudden invitation was simply a godsend opportunity. These two are such a perfect match. I'll ship them first. Today is the day Chu Mei and her husband will bathe together. For this, Chu Mei arrived at the destination early by carriage. The maidservant helping Chu Mei change her clothes was incredibly envious. Although Prince Beichen was a regular here, this was the first time he had invited a woman to bathe with him. Out of professional duty, the girl specially chose an ethereal bathing robe for Chu Mei. But after the maidservant left, Chu Mei didn't understand why the inviter was so late. However, just as she was pondering, the husband she was longing for didn't arrive. Instead, a few lechers showed up. These guys were purely and simply big suckers. The arrogant Princess Jingen was defeated by Chu Mei for the first time. For this, she even went through various connections to find out Chu Mei's upcoming schedule. Now, these few suckers are the most powerful proof she used to retaliate against Chu Mei. Hearing the commotion, Chu Mei had already hidden behind a rockery. At the same time, silver needles were already circling between her fingers. After all, with guys like them, she might be able to take down a few. Just as she was waiting for the right moment to act, a strong and powerful hand wrapped around her waist. One look at his eyes confirmed it. The husband she had been longing for had finally arrived. Next, it was time for the few lechers to pay the price. As soon as Prince Beichen's voice fell, a powerful nuclear-level kick sent one of the small fries flying to the ground. The murderous aura could be felt even through the screen. Seeing that they had picked on the wrong person, the few small fries didn't even look at the beauty anymore, only caring about frantically escaping. In the end, they even made a bold threat. You just wait. I'm going to get back up. But what's worth worrying about is, can they really get their revenge on Prince Beichen? I've seen foolish people, but never so unyielding. Just a second ago, she was defeated by Chu Mei. The next second, she found a few suckers to try to ruin Chu Mei's reputation. But what's worth worrying about is it really realistic to make a move on a female protagonist? Watching the lechers scatter and flee, Prince Beichun didn't stop them, just letting them go and get back up. He then took off his cloak and thoughtfully draped it over the lovely Chu Mei. Not long after, the instigator of the incident, Princess Jing'an, arrived on the scene. The moment she saw Prince Beichun, the fear in her heart was palpable. She stammered for a long time, unable to utter a complete sentence. Immediately, Prince Beichun shouted, "Princess Jing'an, stay. The rest of you, get lost." The murderous aura could be felt even through the screen. Seeing this, the group of small fries didn't even care about their own master, only caring about frantically escaping. They probably never dreamed that they would actually offend the famous Prince Beichun of Chang'an. Afterwards, Princess Jing'an forced herself to snap out of her state of terror and return to her usual arrogant and unreasonable persona. Seeing her royal brother insisting that she apologize to the princess consort, Princess Jing'an couldn't take it anymore. She didn't understand why a hussy who forcibly crashed her royal brother's wedding could still win Prince Beichun's favor, and how she could sit on the supreme throne of Princess Consort Beichun, a position that countless women in the world would go crazy for, and even embarrass her again and again. In her desperation, Princess Jing'an accidentally blurted out the whole truth. But what she received was a cold slap that carried no trace of warmth. This was also the first time Prince Beichun had struck his sister. Clutching her almost disfigured half-face, Princess Jing'an cried and roared, "You hit me for this woman. I don't have a brother like you. I don't want you anymore." Watching Princess Jing'an's retreating figure, Prince Beichun's thoughts returned to Chu Mei. One look at his eyes confirmed it. Prince Beichun had fallen in love. Did I usually spoil her? Her words were inappropriate. You don't have to mind it. Immediately, Chu Mei also smiled and said, "It's fine. She's just a little girl. But you really should discipline this sister of yours. Today is the day Pei Xiaonan and Prince Beichun fulfill their bet." However, what's worth worrying about is, with Pei Xiaonan's pathetic skills, can he really defeat the long-famous Tuobajan? Even Chu Mei couldn't help but silently pray in her heart, "Pei Xiaonan, don't you dare let me down." However, at this moment, Prince Beichun, who had been keeping a low profile, finally made his move. With a loud bang, Pei Xiaonan was instantly defeated by Prince Beichun with a single blow before he even had a chance to strike. Chu Mei, who was watching from the side, was shocked. Seeing this situation, Chu Mei knew she had to use that ultimate method. Otherwise, the plan she had painstakingly managed for days would be ruined. "Tuobajan," Chu Mei suddenly shouted. Prince Beichun, who was in a state of combat, looked towards Chu Mei. In an instant, the illusion was fully activated. It was as if something had violently collided. Chu Mei's vision went black. In that instant, she seemed to see a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Also appearing was a nearly demonic Prince Beichun. Faced with this terrifying afterimage, even the strong Chu Mei couldn't help but feel a sense of retreat. Just as Prince Beichun was about to deliver the fatal blow, his myriad thoughts were finally pulled back to reality. To everyone's surprise, Prince Beichun actually used his powerful murderous aura to completely suppress Chu Mei's proud illusion. Having come to his senses, Pei Xiaonan wanted to fight again. Because in the plan, Prince Beichun should have been severely weakened by the illusion by now. He couldn't waste the opportunity Chu Mei had created for him. However, things didn't go as planned. Prince Beichun, whose killing intent had not yet subsided, forcefully struck Pei Xiaonan again with brute force. Chu Mei wanted to warn him, but it was already too late. The playboy who was so spirited just a moment ago was now in a state of barely hanging on. With that, this duel ended with Pei Xiaonan's defeat. Watching Prince Beichun's retreating figure, Chu Mei felt so powerless for the first time. Is he even harder to deal with than I imagined? He is the famous playboy of Chang'an City, but at this moment, he is in a state of barely hanging on. After losing the duel with Prince Beichun, the sympathetic Chu Mei specially sent him back to his residence to treat him. After confirming that his life was not in danger, even the worldly Chu Mei couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Afterwards, from Pei Xiaoxiao's mouth, Chu Mei also learned why Pei Xiaonan was so obsessed with the Qi Xiao treasured sword. even to the point of disregarding his own life and death. It turned out that Pei Xiaonan's elder brother encountered bandits while pacifying a rebellion. His weapon was powerful, but he was inevitably injured. Therefore, he greatly longed for a treasured sword. He happened to mention the Qi Shao sword a few days ago, and unexpectedly, that playboy Pei Xiaonan actually took it seriously. This was the first time Chu Mei's impression of Pei Xiaonan had changed. Now that it was late, after a farewell, Chu Mei took her leave first. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind her, if the young Marquis has any problems, send someone to tell me immediately. But the head maid, Qing Lian, was already waiting at the door. As soon as they met, they exchanged the usual pleasantries. However, Chu Mei now had an urgent matter to entrust to Qing Lian. After learning that Prince Beichen had not left the study for a moment since returning from the training grounds, Chu Mei understood that this mission might end in failure. But she would take all the blame herself. She then expressionlessly instructed Qing Lian, "Help me ask the young master again. When searching for the Marquis of Xuanwu's military strategy, do I need to spare Prince Beichen's life? If necessary, should I borrow a knife to kill him and take his life to complete the mission?" When Chu Mei arrived at the study, it was already late at night. However, Prince Beichen was still awake. As soon as Chu Mei pushed the door open a crack, she heard Prince Beichen's sharp shout. Even the worldly illusionist fairy couldn't help but feel a pang of anxiety at this moment. After an internal struggle, Chu Mei still chose to face it all. At this moment, the atmosphere in the entire study was very oppressive. Seeing Prince Beichen staring at her expressionlessly, Chu Mei was the first to break the deadlock. "About this morning's matter, I apologize to your highness, and I don't want to make excuses. What your highness did today was indeed to help Pei Xiaonan get the treasured sword. But now, facing such a situation, how should Prince Beichen decide? What is it like to have a cunning prince?" After her plan was exposed, Chu Mei, knowing she was in the wrong, chose to confess to Prince Beichen. She explained all the reasons why she had painstakingly tried to help Pei Xiaonan obtain the Qi Shao treasured sword. However, Prince Beichen clearly didn't want it to end just like that. The murderous aura could be felt even through the screen. In response, Chu Mei was no pushover either. This time, she chose to play hard to get. Chu Mei first used the brotherly affection between Pei Xiaonan and his brother as a shield. Seeing that Prince Beichen still wasn't buying it, Chu Mei then used a sob story to, "I know I can't hide anything from your highness. Actually, I have my own selfish motives. After all, if I help Pei Xiaonan this time, with his personality, he will definitely help me if I ask for his help in the future. And in this residence, who is easy to deal with, I have no one to rely on. If I can build a good relationship with Pei Xiaonan, I'll at least have a helper." But unexpectedly, even Prince Beichen, who had conquered the world, couldn't escape the law of jealousy. Prince Beichen shot up from his seat. His long fingers immediately pinched Chu Mei's chin, and he said resentfully, "You are my princess consort. I am your greatest support. Offending me for someone else is truly putting the cart before the horse." Don't be fooled by Chu Mei's pitiful appearance at this moment. In fact, she was already overjoyed in her heart. So what if he's the Prince Beichen who conquered the world? Isn't he now being led by the nose by her cunning acting? But the act still had to be played out completely. She then said pitifully, "Of course I understand. Your highness doesn't need a princess consort who can't secure her position. I want to secure this position, so I need to find helpers. Your highness, I want to stay by your side." With that, Chu Mei finally made a name for herself in Prince Beichen's little black book. With acting skills like that, Oscar probably owes you a little golden statue. But Prince Beichen also said bluntly, "I'll let you go this time. There won't be a second time." Afterwards, Chu Mei used her ultimate green tea skills to gain the opportunity to be fully in charge of Prince Beichen's daily life. However, Prince Beichen was no fool. He wanted to use this opportunity to see what tricks Chu Mei was up to. Ever since Chu Mei started to personally attend to Prince Beichen's daily needs, even the handsome Luo Jui was completely baffled. They hadn't even found out the purpose of Chu Mei's entry into the residence. If Chu Mei really wanted to harm Prince Beichen, wouldn't this be playing right in her hands? But fortunately, from the current information, Chu Mei shouldn't be one of those people. This sentence instantly pulled the pensive Prince Beichen back to reality. He then slammed the teacup on the table and said seriously, "The deeper she hides, the greater her ambition. Keep investigating." But even though he said that, when he saw Chu Mei transform from a world-famous illusionist fairy into a housewife, a wave of warmth still couldn't help but surge in his heart. After Chu Mei left, the recovered Prince Beichen as usual, took a hairpin from his hair. He used it to test for poison. However, the result was the same as always. Even Prince Bachin couldn't understand. It had been about 10 days since she started taking care of his daily life, but there was still nothing unusual. He muttered to himself, "Little fox, what on earth are you planning?" At the same time, Chu Mei, who was about to leave the palace, was stopped by one of the concubines in the prince's residence. The woman kept begging, hoping that Chu Mei could save her father. But Chu Mei wouldn't do a losing business. However, the woman was also an extraordinary person who knew when to yield and when to stand firm. In order to have her father back by her side, she was even willing to entrust her life and fortune to Chu Mei's control. This point made Chu Mei look at her with new eyes. Since she had said so much, it would be a bit too much for Chu Mei to refuse. But she also saw the woman's extraordinary nature. In the end, she chose to help the woman fulfill her wish. As the saying goes, when someone is overly attentive for no reason, they're either a thief or a swindler. In order to obtain information about the case of the missing court silver, Chu Mei didn't hesitate to disturb the working Prince Bachin late at night. She poured tea and massaged his shoulders. However, how could Prince Bachin not see through Chu Mei's little scheme? Now, there were only about 20 days left before Lin Mei's father was to be beheaded. It seemed that this Lord Su was also a big sucker, implicated just because a robbery of tax silver happened in the jurisdiction he managed. Chu Mei was on pins and needles about this. Although she had taken on Lin Mei's case, the information she had was pitifully scarce. As the saying goes, intelligence precedes the army. Chu Mei set her sights on Prince Bachin. However, Prince Bachin was no fool. He just made a promise to his wife: "You handle the matter you agreed to yourself. Don't waste your efforts on me. Also, you can investigate this matter freely, but what you can find out depends on your own ability." For Prince Bachin to say this much, Chu Mei's trip was clearly not in vain. After all, it was better than nothing. So Chu Mei wanted to run off. But was Prince Bachin's residence so easy to leave? After all, the sheep had entered the tiger's den. However, Prince Bachin had no improper thoughts about Chu Mei. Amidst Chu Mei's surprise, he just kept her there to continue the massage. It's not easy. After so many days, Chu Mei finally got a new skin. As the saying goes, intelligence precedes the army. In order to obtain intelligence, the organization even spent a great deal of manpower and resources to build an ultimate intelligence system. Even Chu Mei couldn't help but be stunned by this scene. But now, although the intelligence was in hand, the time left for her was not ample. There was no time for detailed planning. After a moment of thought, Chu Mei set her sights on Prince Bachin again. It has to be said, having a husband with immense power is really convenient. Then, Chu Mei, full of confidence, went to the tea house that Prince Bachin often frequented. Although on the surface, she was there to buy Zhao's iced jade tea to show respect to her husband, her real purpose was just to have a chance encounter with Prince Bachin. Seeing that the iced jade tea was sold out, she even put on a look of disappointment. Life is truly like a play, all depending on acting skills. At this moment, the Prince Bachin that Chu Mei was longing for finally appeared. As soon as they met, they exchanged the usual pleasantries. Even Prince Bachin was fooled for a moment and couldn't help but think to himself, "Did she really come here specifically to buy tea for me?" After a moment of thought, Prince Bachin tentatively asked, "Aren't you supposed to be investigating a public case? How do you have time to buy tea?" Turning to look at Chu Mei's big, watery eyes, Prince Bachin knew that Chu Mei had another favor to ask of him. It's not easy. After so many episodes, Chu Mei and Prince Bachin finally have feelings for each other. Since receiving Prince Bachin's secret support, Detective Chu Mei has been doing very well. Now, she even wants to use the information about the mastermind stealing a large amount of grain to directly exchange for 200,000 taels of silver from Prince Bachin to cover the tax silver that Lord Su lost. But how could the discerning Prince Bachin not see through Chu Mei's little scheme? But what surprised him even more was that the world-famous illusionist fairy would actually help a woman with no value to be used. In the end, Prince Bachin, considering Lord Su's integrity and incorruptibility, and on account of Chu Mei serving him in bed, reluctantly agreed. Seeing Chu Mei's blushing face, Prince Bachin decided to add an additional clause. In fact, Prince Bachin had long known that the missing tax silver was actually in the Zhu family's business. And at this moment, they were selling off that batch of rice in Izhou, causing the legitimate grain business, Zhao's, to suffer from poor business. As the saying goes, there's no such thing as a free lunch. The condition Prince Bachin gave was that as long as Chu Mei could resist the low price, then she could get that 200,000 taels. Hearing this, Chu Mei was overjoyed. She even gave Prince Baichun a kiss directly. To be honest, it was the first time the chaste Prince Baichun had been attacked by a woman at such close range. This top-tier beauty is being relentlessly provoked by a nameless nobody. Little does he know that she is the woman Prince Baichun treasures. When the two arrived at the Zhao's business, the first person they met was the person in charge, Xiao Yu. Seeing Xiao Yu's worried expression, Chu Mei decided from the bottom of her heart to help this unfortunate person. However, at this moment, the person in charge of the neighboring Zhu's grain business, Zhu Yuzhong, appeared and immediately launched into a round of extreme mockery. Due to Prince Baichun's presence, although Xiao Yu was gritting his teeth in hatred, he still clenched his jaw and urged the two to go inside to talk, not to bother with a petty person. But Zhu Yuzhong clearly didn't want to end it just like that. With a casual glance, he immediately took a liking to the top-tier beauty, Chu Mei. Without a second thought, he reached out his wandering hands. This is really plucking a tiger's whiskers, courting death. Xiao Yu, standing by the side, was so scared he urged him to stop quickly. And Prince Baichun's expression was no better. His handsome face turned from white to black. The subordinate standing behind him drew his sword, ready to take the scoundrel's life at any moment. However, in this solemn atmosphere, Chu Mei finally showed her fangs. She grabbed his wandering hand with a backhand. What followed was a beating from the illusionist fairy. Zhu Yuzhong wanted to fight back, but as soon as he saw Chu Mei's cold, emotionless gaze, it seemed all his fighting spirit vanished in that instant. He ran away with his subordinates with his tail between his legs. At this moment, Chu Mei officially became the big sister in their hearts. Do you know what kind of visual feast it is when the world-famous illusionist fairy transforms into a business elite? Ever since she beat away Zhu Yuzhong and his group, Chu Mei unknowingly became the big sister in the hearts of Xiao Yu and the others. Seeing Chu Mei's big, watery eyes looking at him pleadingly, Prince Baichun had a bad feeling. It turned out that Chu Mei had already thought of the solution to help Xiao Yu break the deadlock early on. Now, all she needed was for Prince Baichun to personally take action and everything would be fine. As she spoke, she even took out a set of night clothes that she had already prepared. At first, Prince Baichun was very resistant, but he couldn't withstand Chu Mei's persistent pestering. Time came to the third day. Early in the morning, Zhu Yuzhong from the neighboring Zhu's business, full of confidence, prepared to open his warehouse and sell his grain. But the scene that followed left him completely dumbfounded. The rice that was crystal clear yesterday was now emitting a foul stench. In contrast, the neighboring Zhao's rice business was bustling with customers. The discerning Zhu Yuzhong immediately knew that Zhao's was behind it. He brought his 3 worthless underlings to cause trouble. But the current Chu Mei was not afraid at all. She stood up and confronted him directly. She said angrily, "If there's nothing wrong with your rice, why are you selling it at such a low price? You get what you pay for. Would you do a losing business? I think this Zhu's business has been selling old rice that's been stored for who knows how long. Now that the rice has gone bad and can't be sold, you're coming here to bite people." These words left Zhu Yuzhong speechless. Seeing this scene, I just want to say, Chu Mei, you're awesome. Hearing the doubts from the people around him, Zhu Yuzhong's face turned black. He rolled up his sleeves and prepared to fight. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Prince Baichun promptly protected Chu Mei. But after the troublemakers left, Chu Mei introduced various benefits. It has to be said, Chu Mei has mastered the art of marketing. On one hand, she used a fragrant herb to make the women at Zhao smell good, and on the other, she used Mayan incense to make the women at Zhu's look like they were moldy. Then she spread rumors to fan the flames. At this moment, even the usually aloof Prince Baichun couldn't help but praise Chu Mei in his heart. Pay attention, Prince Baichun, who has always been aloof from women, is actually crying in Chu Mei's arms. As evening approached, the housewife Chu Mei, while passing by a farmhouse, specially made a bowl of appetizing soup for Prince Baichun. But unexpectedly, this drink caused a sudden situation. At this moment, Prince Baichun felt an unbearable pain in his chest. Recalling what Luo Jui had told him before he left, Prince Baichun couldn't believe that Chu Mei would actually poison him. The person involved, Chu Mei, was also completely bewildered. Only after checking his pulse did she realize that the same violent pulse as last time had been triggered. But at this moment, Prince Baichan no longer trusted anyone. He used all his strength to push Chu Mei away. But as time went on, Prince Baichan's condition worsened. With a spurt of old blood, Prince Baichan had fallen into a state of demonic possession. Faced with Chu Mei's kind attempt to save him, he chose to pin her down under him. He ripped Chu Mei's clothes, revealing her delicate skin, and bit down. At this moment, Chu Mei returned to the same illusion as last time. The difference from last time was that this time, in the center of the battlefield, there was a zombie in armor, constantly muttering. I fought all my life to build the prestige of the Tuoba royal family, but I couldn't protect the people around me. My friends, my subordinates, all died because of me. Why? Why am I the only one left? That's right, this person was the illustrious Prince Baichan. Seeing this scene, Chu Mei subconsciously went to hug him. But Prince Baichan was already lying in Chu Mei's arms, tears streaming down his face. Pay attention, Prince Baichan, who has always been aloof from women, is actually crying in Chu Mei's arms. After coming out of the illusion, both of them were panting with exhaustion. In contrast, Chu Mei directly put the pill in her mouth, held Prince Baichan's face, and engaged in an intimate contact. Time came to the next morning. When Prince Baichan groggily opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was his contact from last night. Only after asking Chu Mei did he find out that as long as it was the night of the full moon on the 15th, and he smelled blood, Prince Baichan's bloodlust would erupt. Hearing this, Chu Mei also silently swore in her heart, I will never randomly feed you things again. Just as the two were still enjoying the moment and about to flirt again, a foul smell came, followed by a dart that arrived later. Where's my 400-meter-long machete? Come and capture the assassin. Why couldn't they come earlier or later, but at this critical moment? When the two jumped out of the carriage, Chu Mei subconsciously told Prince Baichan to go first while she held the rear. But how could the assassin let them have their way? Wielding his 40-meter-long dragon-slaying saber, he slashed at Chu Mei. At first, Chu Mei could barely hold her own, but as time went on, her disadvantage became more and more obvious. Faced with a dart shot by the assassin, the exhausted Chu Mei was almost in despair. Just as she was about to close her eyes and accept her fate, Prince Baichan once again stood in front of Chu Mei. You would never imagine that Prince Baichan would risk his own life to save Chu Mei from danger. Faced with the dart shot by the assassin, the exhausted Chu Mei was almost in despair. Just as she was about to close her eyes and accept her fate, Prince Baichan once again stood in front of Chu Mei, letting the dart pierce his arm. He then pulled it out with a backhand and threw it out with a whoosh. As expected of Prince Baichan, he has the hero saving the damsel act down to a T. But the assassin was no slouch either. When it was only 0.01 centimeters away from him, his body lightened, and he barely avoided the vital spot. After the assassin fled, just as Chu Mei was about to thank Prince Baichan for stepping up, she saw Prince Baichan collapse into her arms like a deflated balloon. After a careful examination, she realized that Prince Baichan had been poisoned by a snake. Without much hesitation, Chu Mei directly sucked out the snake venom with her mouth. Perhaps this is mutual devotion, and Chu Mei herself also fell into a coma due to the poison's erosion. This couple is so sweet. I'll ship them first. During the time, Chu Mei was in a coma due to the poison's erosion, Prince Baichan always stayed by her bedside without leaving. Late at night, Chu Mei finally groggily opened her eyes. But Prince Baichan couldn't wait any longer. He chose to make his move when Chu Mei was at her weakest. Seeing Chu Mei startled like a little cat that had done something wrong, Prince Baichan said he liked it even more, held Chu Mei's face, and kissed her. I know you guys don't like to watch the following plot, so we'll skip ahead. Time came to the next morning. Chu Mei woke up with a tired body, but the Prince Baichan she was longing for was no longer with her. The night was as usual. Prince Baichan continued to rest without fail. Seeing Chu Mei come out, Prince Baichan directly invited her to go shopping. It must be said that it hasn't been easy for Prince Baichan. After being chased for decades, he has finally come to his senses. You would never imagine just how captivating this heaven-made match of Chu Mei and Prince Baichan is. When the two walked on the street, passers-by couldn't help but look at them. At first, Prince Baichan didn't feel anything. But as time went on, the passers-by's gazes were directly on the top-tier beauty Chu-mei. Who the hell could tolerate this? Prince Baichen's anger flared up, and with just a single glance, he scared them away. The following time became a rare world for just the two of them. When the two returned to Chang'an City the next day, before they even entered the door, they were informed to attend the Qiqiao Palace banquet in a few days. It is said that the Qiqiao Palace banquet was established to pray for the happy marriage of the royal family couples. But this time, inviting Chu-mei to attend was more to test whether Chu-mei was worthy of the title of Princess Consort Baichen. Don't be fooled by Chu-mei's confident appearance at this moment. In fact, she was already cursing in her heart. She had just escaped from a business war, and now she had to participate in a palace struggle. For this Qiqiao banquet, Lady Su from the palace even specially sent Chu-mei a dress. Even the well-traveled Chu-mei couldn't help but exclaim in amazement when she saw this gift that was like the blue sea. She repeatedly instructed Qinglian to send the clothes to the laundry bureau. Be careful. There could be no mistakes on her first visit to the palace. However, troubles came one after another. The clothes in her hands hadn't even warmed up yet when she learned that they had been deliberately dirted by those guys at the laundry bureau. I have never seen such a shameless person. One second, Chu-mei was worried because her formal dress for the palace banquet tonight was deliberately dirted by those guys at the laundry bureau. The next second, the woman came over with false sincerity, claiming to give Chu-mei a dress she hadn't worn yet to help her get through this difficulty. Isn't this just a confession without being prompted? Looking at the woman's treacherous face, Chu-mei's expression turned cold and tense again. She chose to close the door and see the guest out. At this moment, Chu-mei's brain was working at high speed. The time for the banquet was getting closer and closer. And looking at the mess in front of her, Chu-mei decided to go all out. She directly had Qinglian bring the inkstone and brush. As evening approached, when Prince Baichen came to pick up Chu-mei, the already ethereal dress now looked even more beautiful after Chu-mei's touch-up. Even Prince Baichen couldn't help but be stunned for a long time before he said, "Your dress is quite unique." As the banquet began, the first people they met were Prince Rui and his wife. As the Empress sat down, the banquet officially began. What on earth did Chu-mei do to make Prince Baichen actively show his love for her? Today is the day of the palace banquet. As the female protagonist of this banquet, the task of tea ceremony naturally fell to Chu-mei. At first, Chu-mei didn't notice anything wrong until she opened the already moldy tea and saw the gloating expression on the side. Chu-mei felt as if 10,000 horses were running in her heart, and the instigator of the incident even jumped out to add insult to injury. The discerning Prince Baichen naturally noticed Chu-mei's predicament. He immediately stood up to help his wife. Then he said in a voice only the two of them could hear, "Princess Consort, please don't embarrass me." Although it was still without a trace of emotion, it made people feel at ease. Chu-mei couldn't help but chuckle. "All right, I won't embarrass you." She then closed her eyes, telling herself not to be affected by external factors, to concentrate and think about how to solve the current situation. Suddenly, Chu-mei's eyes flew open, looking at the fruits and flowers on the side. It was as if she had found a life-saving straw. Then, under the bewildered gazes of everyone, Chu-mei finally made her move. Her hands were very fast. Everyone could only see after images and petals flying up and falling. Different fruits were quickly broken down at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. As 30 cups of tea were placed on the tea table in front of Chu-mei, this tea ceremony finally came to an end. Without a doubt, Chu-mei's impromptu performance this time was undoubtedly a success. She took the art of tea to a new height. Everyone present who drank it gave a thumbs up, and Prince Baichen was even more domineering. After drinking the tea personally brewed by Chu-mei, he took the opportunity to show his love for Chu-mei in front of everyone. This public display of affection caught me completely off guard. After drinking the tea brewed by Chu-mei, Prince Baichen directly pulled her in his arms. He sealed her lips as he drank the tea. At this moment, Chu-mei's heart felt like it was about to jump out of her chest. After a long time, when Chu-mei came to her senses, her first reaction was to touch her red lips. Then she lowered her head with a blush, standing by Prince Baichen's side, looking every bit the little wife. Many people felt their teeth and eyes ache with jealousy, and their hearts even more so. Rumor has it that Prince Baichen and the Princess Consort are deeply in love. Others didn't believe it, but at this moment, they had no choice but to believe it. Even the usually strict Empress showed a gratified smile at this moment. The Empress who might have a preference for being fed dog food, was very satisfied with their actions. Princess Jingyan felt that Chu Mei had stolen the show again and excitedly reminded the Empress Dowager that the entertainment game could begin. The rule of the game is that a husband and wife participate without using martial arts, with their legs tied together to catch fireflies. As soon as the game started, Chu Mei hugged the prince and said, "Your Highness, the Beichen prince's residence will never fall behind." "Right." Tuoba-chun looked at her with interest. "You want to win that badly?" Chu Mei explained, "Let them know that we are the most tacit and loving couple." The prince looked at her. "Then can you trust me completely?" Chu Mei nodded. So he ordered her to hold his waist tightly and just follow him. Tuoba-chun then hugged her and leaped forcefully. Unexpectedly, their feet got tangled, and Chu Mei became a little nervous. Remembering what Prince Beichun said about trusting each other, she calmed her mind, seeing that Chu Mei was about to win first place. Princess Jingyan came forward, wanting to see the fireflies they had caught, and directly stuck out her leg to trip Chu Mei. Chu Mei thought, "Oh no," as the fireflies in her hand flew out. "Don't be afraid." Tuoba-chun comforted her. He pulled her hand, kicked his foot, and steadily caught the fireflies again. Then he didn't forget to turn back and glare at Jingyan. The Empress Dowager was very surprised and happy to see them win, and had someone bring up the rewards. "There are 5 items here. If you both pick the same thing, I will bestow it upon you. If not, you can't blame me." The Empress Dowager was once again testing their feelings for each other. They both reached for the imperially bestowed gifts. Just as they were about to pick different items, Tuoba-chun swiftly picked up the jade bracelet Chu Mei had chosen and put on for her. They had finally passed this test safely. On the way back to the residence, Tuoba-chun invited Chu Mei for a walk. Chu Mei joyfully agreed. Tuoba-chun asked why she chose the most inconspicuous jade bracelet. Chu Mei looked down at the bracelet on her wrist and explained, "Your Highness now holds all military power. Choosing anything else would attract suspicion and cause the Empress Dowager and His Majesty to become wary." Tuoba-chun praised her for being exceptionally intelligent, then explained that this bracelet was a relic left by his mother consort. Upon hearing this, Chu Mei immediately stated that she would treasure it. Tuoba-chun suddenly interlocked his fingers with hers. She couldn't help but ask if bringing out this item was also a test by the Empress Dowager. Tuoba-chun comforted her. "Tonight, you have already proven that you are worthy of being my Tuoba-chun's princess consort." Chu Mei tentatively asked why he and his brother seemed close yet distant. Tuoba-chun patiently explained that their father emperor had originally intended to make him the crown prince, but mishap occurred. The Empress Dowager saved him. To repay this life-saving debt, his mother empress made him swear an oath to never covet the throne. After hearing this, Chu Mei sighed, "For your Highness to be so feared, it must have been very tiring for you all this time." Tuoba-chun asked if she was willing to accompany him and ease his worries. Chu Mei thought to herself that she was only doing this for the book on military strategy, but on the surface, she replied, "That depends on your Highness's wishes." Back at the residence, the prince told Chu Mei to rest early, but Chu Mei said it wasn't time to rest yet, stating that she needed to establish some household rules. The events of today were a clear slap in her face. If not for the prince's protection, she would have brought shame not just to herself, but to the Prince of Beichun's residence. Tuoba-chun tacitly permitted her, as the princess consort, to handle it with full authority. Chu Mei quickly and respectfully complied. Going full force, Chu Mei entered the room and immediately began her inquiry. "Qing Lian, when I was leaving the residence, did you investigate the matter I assigned you?" "Your Highness, it has been investigated." "Your Highness, it has been investigated." Chu Mei, with full concentration, commanded, "Light the lamps. Summon all the servants in this palace." Before long, the room was filled with servants kneeling respectfully. Chu Mei had Qing Lian bring out the item that had caused her to lose face today. In front of everyone, Qing Lian fiercely smashed the item on the ground. Chu Mei was seen looking down on them from above. The palace banquet today, I was sabotaged twice on my own turf. It seems I have been too merciful. So this time, I do not intend to let these traitors off. Qing Lian, continue your report. These made from the laundry bureau have already confessed. They were the ones who tampered with the formal attire. However, they refused to reveal the person behind it. Chumei raised an eyebrow and said calmly, "You think if you don't speak, I won't know who the mastermind is?" She raised her voice, emphasizing, "Those who know but do not report will be driven out of the residence along with their families. The head steward will be dismissed. As for this main culprit, drag her out, chop off her hands, and hang them at the entrance of side consort Fu's residence for 3 days as a lesson." Hearing this, the maidservant quickly came forward to beg for mercy. Qing Lian reported that the matter of the hairpin had not yet been solved. Chumei fiercely kicked away the maidservant who was tugging at her. "If I'm not mistaken, it was orchestrated by the same person. Give all of them a beating and send them to side consort Fu. Remember this. If anything goes wrong in my palace, no matter who did it, no one will be spared." After dealing with these servants, Chumei didn't want to make a move on side consort Fu just yet. After all, she was the prince's side consort bestowed by the emperor. One must consider the master before beating the dog. Just as she was thinking this, the young marquis once again climbed over the wall to find Chumei. With a mournful face, he begged Chumei to help him get the precious sword. His elder brother's birthday was fast approaching. Chumei was torn, thinking that being so aggressive would offend Tuoba-chun. On the other hand, she wanted to curry favor with the Duke of Chang's residence for future protection. So, she verbally agreed to the young marquis's request, telling him to go back and wait for news. When she married in, she had already investigated and found out that the prince had a hidden treasure room. She boldly decided to go and explore it first. After changing into night-crawling attire, she cautiously arrived at the secret room. Just as she was worrying about potential traps, she stepped on a hidden panel. As expected, flying darts shot out with a whoosh. After finally managing to enter the room, she saw a precious sword placed among the rare treasures. Chumei went forward and picked it up. After examining it, she felt this must be the one. But then she thought, if the prince found out she stole it, in terms of martial prowess, she would surely be defeated. Just then, she caught sight of the inscription on the hilt of the sword. She immediately made up her mind and left the secret room empty-handed, completely unaware that someone was secretly following her from behind. One moment, the scoundrel of a man was kissing, hugging, and lifting her high. The next, he had the woman tied up in a dungeon for interrogation. It all started when Chumei was on her way to the marquis's residence, smugly thinking that the young marquis would be eternally grateful upon receiving the sword. Suddenly, a group of people rushed out and blocked her path. It turned out they were acting on Tuoba-chen's orders to capture Chumei. After being tied up and brought back to the residence, Chumei indignantly asked the prince what he meant by this. Tuoba-chan lunged forward, grabbed her by the throat, and furiously rebuked her for daring to steal the Qishao sword. He then had her taken down to the dungeon and tightly bound to a pillar. Tuoba-chan walked over and said to her coldly, "I told you, if you dare to betray me, death is your only way out." Chumei argued that she didn't steal it. "Show me the evidence." "Last night, the young marquis came to ask for your help. Today, the sword is gone. Since when did you two become so close?" Chumei looked at him helplessly. "Your Highness, have you never trusted me?" Tuoba-chan stepped forward, playing with her chin. "I forgot how good you were at sophistry. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you?" Chumei looked straight into his eyes. "My life or death is but a thought away for your Highness. But I did not steal the sword. Why should I admit to it?" Seeing her so resolute, Tuoba-chan lifted her chin and questioned, "Who sent you? You've been trained so flawlessly." To protect her organization, Chumei only said that no one sent her. She came on her own. Seeing her being so stubborn, Tuoba-chan flung her chin away. He said coldly, "Then hang there for 3 days without food or water. Let's see if you're still stubborn. As for those around you, I will punish them properly as well." This completely enraged Chumei. She kept shouting tyrant, involving innocent people. Hearing the woman's angry curses, he curled his lips. A tyrant? Perhaps. Seeing no sign of the man softening, Chumei decided to think of another way. At this moment, Qingji, hiding in the shadows, was secretly pleased. It turned out she was the one who had followed Chumei to the secret room yesterday. She was the one who stole the sword. This way, the prince would definitely think Chumei did it. Meanwhile, Tuoba-chan back in his room, was in such a furious state of mind that he couldn't properly play chess with Luo Jui. Luo Jui asked, "Your Highness's mind is not on the game. Are you still angry because of the princess consort?" The prince angrily commanded, "Within 1 month, find out Chu Mei's identity at any cost." Luo Jui respectfully accepted the order. "If I may be so bold as to guess, is your Highness angry that the princess consort stole the sword, or that she gave the sword to the Marquis of Changnan?" For some reason, this sentence suddenly enlightened Tuoba Chun. It turned out that, without realizing it, he cared so much about the relationship between Chu Mei and the young Marquis. The thought that this woman would defy him for someone else made him angrier and angrier. Having received his orders, Luo Jui was about to go and question Chu Mei in person. Hearing this, the scoundrel of a man went along too. Luo Jui teased, "As expected, your Highness is worried." The two had just arrived at the prison when they were stunned by the scene before them. Chu Mei's head was hanging limply on the verge of death. Tuoba Chun shouted her name loudly, rushing towards her while quickly drawing his sword to cut the ropes. Looking at the woman in his arms who wouldn't wake up no matter how he called, Tuoba Chin's brows furrowed deeply. He scooped Chu Mei up in his arms. He roared, "Quick, call for a physician." The woman in his arms was now murmuring deliriously, "A Jing. A Jing, you have to wait. Our plan is not yet complete." Tuoba Chin instantly stopped in his tracks. He roared, "What did you say? What plan? Say it again if you have the guts." But the person in his arms just kept repeating, "A Jing," calling someone else's name while unconscious. This infuriated the prince to no end. Luo Jui tried to smooth things over from the side. The princess consort is probably delirious. Her words can't be taken seriously. At that moment, Chu Mei's servant, Qing Lian, came to find the prince with a precious sword. She wanted to plead for the princess consort. Luo Jui took the sword and looked at it. It was the dragon scale sword. It turned out that Chu Mei couldn't bear to give away the prince's treasure as a gift, so she specially went to a master swordsmith and commissioned another world-class sword, the dragon scale sword, for the young Marquis. Qing Lian presented another precious sword. Also, the princess consort specially had a sword forged for your Highness. Tuoba Chun couldn't believe what he was hearing. "For me? What?" Qing Lian, full of grievance, spoke for Chu Mei. "Because the princess consort knew you were forced to give up your military power and were gloomy every day. So she sought to have this sword forged to encourage your Highness to rally your spirits. The princess consort is willing to endure hardships with your Highness, to be reborn from the ashes and show your brilliance once more." Only then did Tuoba Chun understand in his heart why Chu Mei was unwilling to yield. In the end, he had wronged her. Thinking this, he tightened his arms around Chu Mei. Back in the bedchamber, Qing Lian was about to step forward to change the princess consort's clothes. Tuoba Chun took the change of clothes and said, "I'll do it." Facing the delirious woman who was still calling him a tyrant, Tuoba Chun muttered helplessly, "You little fox," still trying to be strong. He gently wiped away the tear from the corner of the woman's eye. He slowly undid her clothes, bit by bit, and gradually removed Chu Mei's garments. Have you ever seen a prince like this? One moment, he was questioning if the woman had betrayed him. The next, he couldn't resist kissing her. The prince gently wiped the tear from the corner of Chu Mei's eye and gently lifted her outer robe. He threw it to the ground. Tuoba Chun lovingly reached out and cupped Chu Mei's face. But he saw Chu Mei constantly nuzzling against him, murmuring that she was cold. The cunning scoundrel of a man, of course, pulled the woman into his arms. He held her tightly, then asked if she was still cold. Chu Mei, with a voice as faint as a thread, replied, "Warm." The scoundrel of a man couldn't hold back any longer. He held Chu Mei and kissed her deeply. The semi-conscious Chu Mei mumbled incoherently from the kiss. They naturally fell onto the bed. Tuoba Chun softly called Chu Mei's name and, unable to control himself, took off his own outer robe. He said, "It was my fault." But just as he was getting carried away, Tuoba Chun suddenly sobered up. He was shocked at his own scoundrel-like behavior just now. At least he had a conscience, knowing that what he was doing was immoral. Although he liked her, he still wanted her to be awake and willing. Seeing her murmuring and looking like she was about to wake up, Tuoba Chun decided to let her rest first and would come to see her later. He went to Luoyua Pavilion and ordered Luo Jui to find out Chu Mei's identity within a month, no matter what. Whatever her purpose was, he would keep her. Luo Jui looked at him puzzled. Tuoba Chun repeated himself once more, No matter who she is, I want her to marry me. I will negotiate terms with the power behind her. No matter the cost, I will keep her. From now on, she can only be my princess consort. Meanwhile, in Yunzi Palace, the awakened Chu Mei was still in shock that Tooba-chan had changed her clothes. Doesn't that mean he saw everything? Qing Lian explained on the prince's behalf. When the prince knew it was a misunderstanding, he looked very sad. Chu Mei didn't care if he was sad or not. He was the one who had put her in this state. Luckily, you had the organization bring the sword, or my life would have been forfeit. Chu Mei felt that this incident made Tooba-chan feel guilty, which would be beneficial for obtaining the book on military strategy later. She sent Qing Lian to find the young Marquis. She had something to ask him. She wanted to see who was framing her, to find out who was messing with her. Chu Mei summoned the young Marquis to get to the bottom of it. As soon as the young Marquis arrived, he asked, "Your Highness, what is the matter? Does the prince know I'm here?" Chu Mei got straight to the point, asking who gave him the Qishao sword. The young Marquis only said that the Qishao sword was delivered by a maidservant sent by Chu Mei. He had even sent someone to the prince's residence to express his thanks. Chu Mei, mentally cursing her pig-headed teammate, had to explain to him that she had been set up. Her original intention was to give him the dragon scale sword, but someone framed her for stealing the Qishao sword, which made the prince furious. The young Marquis was greatly alarmed, very afraid of the Prince of Beichen's wrath. Chu Mei comforted him, saying she only suffered some superficial injuries. Seeing her so magnanimous, the young Marquis bowed to her, stating that he would remember this kindness in the future. After seeing off the young Marquis, Chu Mei felt that since her opponent had failed this time, they wouldn't let it go so easily. Qing Lian suspected it was side consort Fu again. Chu Mei thought for a moment and felt that it took her a long time to find the treasure room. So how could the prince have told her about it? Following the clues, she analyzed, the place is full of traps. The person who could enter so smoothly must be someone who has followed him for a long time, with the intention of driving a wedge between him and me. With this line of reasoning, Chu Mei thought of an extremely suspicious person that we've overlooked someone. There's still the one living in the Peach Blossom Lodge. Chu Mei immediately made up her mind to go and meet this Miss Ku, who had feelings for the prince. The scene changes. The two are sitting together in the Peach Blossom Lodge. Chu Mei pretended to have come to ask Miss Ku about the prince's preferences. Miss Ku answered meekly, "After the prince returned to the capital, I only met him a few times with my sister. If it were my sister, perhaps she could offer your highness some guidance. Speaking of which, my sister and the prince were truly in sync and had great chemistry." As she spoke, she feigned wiping away tears. Chu Mei heard the deliberate provocation in her words and calmly continued. "When it comes to chemistry, it should be like the prince and me, being together day after day, whispering in each other's ears for a long time. Only then can we have the kind of chemistry we had on Qiqiao Festival, which was the envy of others. Oh, I forgot about Miss Ku's status. You weren't able to attend the Qiqiao banquet. What a pity, what a pity." Seeing Ku Qingji's face turn pale with anger, Chu Mei continued to provoke her. "Sister, why do you look so pale? Are you not feeling well?" Just then, as if seeing her savior, Ku Qingji cried out, "Your Highness." It turned out Tooba-chan had walked in. Chu Mei was about to take her leave, but unexpectedly, the prince told her to stop. "I heard you were inquiring about my preferences." Chu Mei secretly thought, "Oh no, he found out about my plan." But she said aloud, "Is that not allowed? Does that offend you too?" The prince looked at his consort and said, "Today is the Mid-Autumn Festival. I want to go to Chanda Garden to watch an opera." Chu Mei was dumbfounded, not understanding why he was looking at her. Qingji, at the side, saw the situation and quickly said she would accompany the prince. The prince asked once. Chu Mei thought this scoundrel of a man had come specifically to find Qingji to watch the opera, so she turned to leave in a huff. Tooba-chan blocked her path. The princess consort not going. Chu Mei didn't forget to make a few sarcastic remarks that it's rare for your highness to be in such a fine mood. Have fun with Miss Ku. The prince saw that this woman's brain wasn't working well at a critical moment. Although she said she wasn't going, Chu Mei still walked to Chanda Garden. As soon as she entered the garden, before she could find Tooba-chan, she heard someone greet her with gritted teeth. Well, if it isn't the princess consort of Beichun. It was Prince Rue and his wife. Princess Rue mockingly said, "Why did you come alone? Didn't the Prince of Beichun accompany you? I told you so. How could the Prince of Beichun like a crude woman from the common world?" Chumei didn't want to argue with a fool and turned to leave. Princess Rue was very angry at her attitude and shouted like a shrew, "You commoner, I'm talking to you, and you dare to turn and walk away?" Chumei retorted sharply, "I only understand human language." This angered Princess Rue, who questioned what right she had to have such an attitude. Chumei was seen enunciating every word for her to hear, clearly on the grounds that I am the princess consort of Beichun. Princess Rue was momentarily stunned by this imposing aura. Her mind spun, and she secretly pinched herself behind her back. Then she suddenly lunged at Chumei, grabbing her sleeve and not letting go. Chumei hastily pulled her sleeve away. Princess Rue fell to the ground in sync. She held up her bruised arm and shouted, "Your Highness, look at my arm." If I hadn't dodged quickly, she would have broken it. The two played along with the scheme and had their men seize Chumei. Chumei did not show weakness. "Prince Rue, are you trying to bully our Prince of Beichun's residence?" Princess Rue disdainfully grabbed Chumei's hand. "Unless you kneel and apologize to me, I will send you to the imperial clan court." Chumei shouted, "In your dreams." Just then, a throwing knife flew from a distance, hitting Princess Rue squarely in the arm. Tuoba Chun walked in unhurriedly. "Who told my princess consort to kneel?" Seeing him, Chumei respectfully called out, "Your Highness." Prince Rue was still relentlessly demanding an explanation from Tuoba Chun. Tuoba Chun asked them disdainfully, "I saw you deliberately framing and publicly humiliating the princess consort of Beichun. Will you kneel and apologize, or have words carved on your face? Choose one." Frightened, Princess Rue could only kneel and beg for mercy. After dealing with the troublesome matter, Tuoba Chun took Chumei's hand at "Let's go." Chumei asked, puzzled, "Go where?" "What about Miss Ko?" Tuoba Chun replied coldly, "She's not here." Chumei didn't understand. "But didn't you ask her to watch the opera?" Tuoba Chun stared at the slow-witted her. "I invited you." Chumei took the hint. "Then I'll treat your highness to the show." Tuoba Chun couldn't help but put his arm around her shoulder and ambiguously uttered the word, "Silly." After they were seated, Tuoba Chun asked, "Didn't you say you weren't coming?" Chumei answered without batting an eye, "If your highness likes it, I naturally have to come and see." Tuoba Chun dotingly ruffled her hair. With love unconcealed in his smiling eyes, he said, "That's you, all right," lying without even blinking. At this time on the stage, a play about the Prince of Beichun conquering Daliang City was being performed. Chumei asked, "Is this about the story of you attacking Daliang back then?" Tuoba Chun was speechless and covered his forehead. "How did we run into this particular play? So this guy is so reservedly narcissistic, coming to watch a play that glorifies himself." Chumei thought with a smile. She moved a little closer to Tuoba Chun and rested her head on his shoulder, feeling that this guardian god was now the man protecting her. Soon, the opera was over. Chumei kept showering the prince with over-the-top flattery. Tuoba Chun, in a great mood, decided to take her for a stroll outside. Tonight was the Mid-Autumn Festival, and the streets were bustling with excitement. The two walked along, laughing and joking, when they ran into the fuming Princess Jianan. She questioned Tuoba Chun for not staying at the palace banquet and running out to accompany this woman. Seeing her so rude, the prince reprimanded Jianan, "Do not be disrespectful to the princess consort." Seeing the prince so protective, Jianan could only walk away, muttering curses. The prince turned to ask Chumei, "Do you mind?" Chumei smiled brightly and said, "Since I am with your highness, Jianan is also my younger sister. Am I not magnanimous?" The prince, satisfied, praised, "My princess consort is indeed very magnanimous." The two arrived before a tall and imposing tower. Chumei exclaimed, "It's so high. It must be perfect for moon gazing up there." Without another word, Tuoba Chun held her, pushed off the ground, and soared up. The two landed steadily on the roof. The round moon was bright and clear. Like a night lamp hanging in the sky, it seemed within reach. Chumei couldn't help but reach out for it. The atmosphere was just right. The two sat on the ground and started talking about their past Mid-Autumn Festival memories. Chumei said that since she had no family, she didn't celebrate festivals much. For some reason, the memory of that great fire still burned vividly. A Jing, in her arms, cried and held her tightly. Seeing the fire growing larger, a Jing suddenly pushed her away. In that instant, a beam collapsed. Chumei screamed as she watched the scene before her. Chumei, are you alright? Tuoba-chan interrupted her memories. Chumei explained that she was just a little sad thinking about her family. Tuoba-chan comforted her. From now on, I am your family. From now on, I will spend every mid-autumn festival with your highness. The thought that she was just a pawn placed by his side made Chumei lower her eyes. The two held each other tightly, making a wish to be together for a long, long time. Just then, Chumei caught a glimpse of a figure flashing by on the street. She was surprised. How could that person be out without the organization's orders? A servant from behind suddenly came to report that Princess Jinan was missing. The subordinate reported that after being separated by the crowd, Princess Jinan suddenly disappeared. Tuoba-chan and Chumei exchanged a look. They leaped down together. Chumei boldly guessed that Jinan had been kidnapped. The two decided to return to the residence and make a plan. Tuoba-chan told Chumei to go back to her room and rest first. Chumei, worried, sent Qing Lian to gather some news. Soon, Qing Lian returned. The dark figure Chumei saw on the street was indeed Ming Ju. She guessed, could it be that because she had been slow to obtain the book on military strategy, the organization sent more people and targeted Jinan? Qing Lian told her not to overthink it and explained that Ming Ju came to Chang'an for another mission. He kidnapped Jinan because he saw her publicly insulting Chumei and was indignant. Chumei sighed. That child, although I saved his life back then, he has remembered it ever since. Tell him to send Jinan back quickly. But Qing Lian said she couldn't be sent back. He had already sold Jinan to the Bazhou branch of the White Lotus sect. She will be auctioned off tomorrow. Chumei cried out, this is bad. The White Lotus sect hates the prince to the bone. Jinan is in grave danger in their hands. She decided to go to Bazhou immediately to rescue Jinan. But she couldn't tell Tuoba-chan. If he found out, he wouldn't spare Ming Ju. She instructed Qing Lian to cover for her at the residence. Seeing Qing Lian still try to stop her, she said, I'm not just doing this for Ming Ju and Tuoba-chan. If I rescue the princess this time, I'll remove the biggest opponent to my marriage. Finding the book on military strategy will be even easier. She quickly changed into night-crawling attire and went to Bazhou alone. Following the strangely dressed crowd, she walked into a mountain cave. The auction was just beginning. The first item was Princess Jinan. The crowd's emotions instantly soared, shouting that they wanted to buy her to avenge their families. Chumei, in disguise, looked down on this group of shameless people. They had a grudge against Tuoba-chan, but couldn't touch him, only knowing how to take advantage of a woman. In an instant, Chumei activated her grand illusion technique. She mesmerized the crowd. She took the opportunity to quickly approach Jinan. Don't be afraid, it's me. She was about to take Jinan and escape. Just then, a man picked up her fallen mask. I am Z Sangmu. I came here today specifically for Princess Jinan. If you so brazenly snatch her away, wouldn't my trip have been for nothing? The man saw through Chumei's illusion. Chumei had no choice but to take out her flying needles, suddenly unleashing a flurry of silver needles. Just as it seemed she was about to escape, Z Sangmu said approvingly, not bad. Your technique is clean and efficient. It looks like you've killed quite a few people. But do you think you can escape? He slowly removed his eye patch, his eyes glowing with a purple light. Chumei was shocked. It was too late. Both she and Jinan fell into the illusion. She told Jinan to hide first. She faced Z Sangmu alone. The two began to battle with their techniques. Gradually, Chumei felt a heat rising in her body. This is the acacia illusion I especially prepared for you. In it, you can see the love of your life. Or rather, you can see the person you most desire to be intimate with. I wonder who is in your heart. Chumei covered her forehead and cursed. Shameless pervert, using such a despicable trick. I will kill you. A blurry shadow appeared in the illusion. Thinking she was seeing an illusion of Tuoba-chan, Chumei thought, could this be what I desire? Suddenly, she was pulled into a full embrace by that person. The realness of the touch sent a jolt through Chumei. Your Highness, is it really you? Tuoba-chan didn't say much. He threw a dart at Z Sangmu. Tuoba-chan held Chumei and said domineeringly, Mayor. With me here, Z Sangmu, who had been hit, asked with interest, Prince of Beichin, what is your relationship with this woman? As he spoke, he channeled his power. He leaped up from the ground and attacked the two. Since you dared to come to Bazhou, don't even think about leaving. Tuoba-chan gathered power in his palm and struck fiercely, saying with disdain, are these dirty tricks all you know? At the same time, Zi Sengmu pulled out the dart from his body and threw it back, saying sinisterly, "Here's your knife back." In the blink of an eye, Tuoba Chun threw 2 darts simultaneously. One deflected Zi Sengmu's, and the other shot straight at Zi Sengmu. The unlucky Zi Sengmu was hit again. Seeing he had no chance of winning, he left with the words, "The Prince of Beichen's skills have improved again. I will repay this in full when I visit Chang'an." He scurried away. The remaining 2 became affectionate. "Your Highness, is it really you?" Chu Mei was confused about her own heart. Seeing him in illusion just now, was it because she had feelings for him, or... Tuoba Chun saw her staring at him blankly and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Are you hurt anywhere?" Chu Mei, still in disbelief, touched the prince. Is it really you? Why are you here?" The prince dotingly stroked Chu Mei's head and said, "It was just a gut feeling." However, the truth was that Luo Jui had found out Jinan was abducted to Bazhou and reported that the princess consort had also rushed to Bazhou. The thought that Jinan was already in danger, and if Chu Mei's identity was discovered, she would be in even greater danger, made him rush over himself. Hearing the man fob her off with a gut feeling, Chu Mei frowned. At this moment, Jinan, who was lying on the ground, had her acupoints unblocked. She cried out, "Royal brother, it's all because of this bitch that they cursed me." She cried aggrievedly. The person who kidnapped me kept saying they were getting revenge for her. It was clearly her, yet you're still protecting her. I almost died, and you're still protecting this bitch. Just then, a young boy rushed over. "You dare to curse again?" Jinan screamed and feared. "It was this bastard who kidnapped me." Tuoba Chun drew his sword. Chu Mei shouted to stop him. Seeing the young boy get hit, Chu Mei cried out, "Ming-ju," and ran towards him. "Elder sister Chu, this damn girl insulted you time and again. I had to teach her a lesson." Tuoba Chun asked in disbelief, "She calls you elder sister?" Chu Mei quickly explained, "Your Highness, his name is Ming-ju. He is Qing Lian's younger brother. We grew up together." To the prince's ears, this sounded like they were childhood sweethearts. Chu Mei stood in front of Tuoba Chun. "This started because of me. I am willing to take the punishment for him." Tuoba Chun asked her, "You're afraid I'll deal with him, so you disregarded your own safety and came here alone?" Chu Mei naturally denied it, saying she was worried about the prince's sister getting hurt. "If I couldn't bring the princess back safely, I wouldn't know how to face your highness in the future," she said with feigned sadness. "Your highness also knows I have no family. Ming-ju and I have relied on each other to get to where we are today. We are not family, but we have encouraged each other through several life and death situations. Otherwise, I really couldn't have persevered. How else could I have had the fortune to meet your highness today?" This speech was very effective. It made Tuoba Chin's heart ache for her. Completely disregarding the onlookers, he pulled Chu Mei into his arms. As the two were in a deep embrace, the White Lotus sect pursuers arrived. Ming-ju told Chu Mei to leave quickly, and he would handle the aftermath. So, Tuoba Chun and Chu Mei fled with Jinan first. Just when they thought they had escaped their pursuers, a hidden weapon attacked from behind. Tuoba Chun forcefully pushed Chu Mei away. The attacker shouted, "Prince of Beichun, this has nothing to do with you. I want this woman's life." The man shouted, "Prince of Beichun, this has nothing to do with you. I want this woman's life." The prince roared, "Touch my woman and you die." With a flick of his arm, he threw a dart. Then, the two began to fight. Jinan, seeing her brother at a disadvantage, quickly pushed Chu Mei, telling her to go and help. Soon, the assassin was knocked to the ground by Tuoba Chun. He told him to state his name. The assassin, without a second thought, obediently stated his name. "I am Hanyu. My skills are inferior today. I am willing to die." This name shocked them both. It turned out to be the #1 seed of Tiansha Pavilion. Chu Mei chuckled. "I didn't realize I was so valuable to have a #1 assassin sent after me." Saying this, she took out her silver needles, intending to deal with him personally. She approached the assassin and suddenly saw a very familiar jade pendant on his neck. Agitated, she ripped off the assassin's mask. Seeing the assassin's scarred face, a shocked Chu Mei kept asking, "Who sold you this tooth carving?" The assassin said it had been with him since he could remember. Chu Mei, with tears in her eyes, pressed on, "What about your family?" He shook his head, indicating he had no parents. "If you're going to kill me, just kill me." Seeing Chu Mei so emotional, Tuoba Chun stepped forward and asked, "What's wrong?" "Let me handle it." Shumei immediately stood up and stopped the prince, who was about to make a move. She quickly explained, "This pendant is something all children in my family have. This tooth carving might belong to my younger brother." At this point, she could no longer hold back, crying as she said, "Your Highness, please. My family has no one left, so he might be related to my family. I beg you, don't kill him." Looking at the familiar tooth carving gave Chu Mei a glimmer of hope. Perhaps a Jing was still alive. After some thought, Tuoba-chin helped her up that I will not kill your family. We're your unconfirmed family. Seeing that they were just letting him go, the assassin shouted, "I don't know what relationship I have with you, but since you've let me off this time, I will not accept any more missions to kill you in the future." Shumei laughed heartily. "Good. Then you'll have one less line of business in the future." She secretly vowed to find out who he was. Back at the post station, Shumei sat by the window, thinking about Jianin's kidnapping. She wondered if Tuoba-chan would be angry. What if he traced it back to the organization? Tuoba-chan pushed the door open and entered. Shumei gently rested on his shoulder and asked, "Your Highness, how did you know I was in Bazhou? I knew the moment you left the residence." Shumei said charmingly, "Indeed, there is nothing in this world that your Highness doesn't know. Regarding the princess's matter this time, if you must punish someone, just punish me alone." Tuoba-chan said, "It's getting late. Bathe and go to bed." Hearing this, Shumei happily thanked the prince for his pardon. "Then I'll go get the water. Does your Highness want a petal bath, a milk bath, or a passionate mandarin duck bath?" Tuoba-chan, speechless, told her to get out. Shumei continued talking. Tuoba-chan, holding back his temper, squeezed out 3 words, "Get out now." The next day, after the 3 returned to the residence, Luo Jui was already waiting at the gate to greet Tuoba-chan. He told them to go back and rest first, and instructed Luo Jui to investigate the person who tried to assassinate the princess consort. He handed a sketch of the tooth carving to Luo Jui that "I need to know the origin of this." Luo Jui asked speculatively, "Could this thing be related to the princess consort? Otherwise, why would it concern your Highness so much?" The prince answered his question truthfully. He sighed, "Your Highness truly cares about the princess consort's background." At this time, Chu Mei, back in her room, took the intelligence collected by Qing Lian. Looking at the name on the report, Chu Mei was shocked. "It's him? How audacious of them. They targeted me today. Will they not even spare the prince tomorrow?" Qing Lian asked her how she planned to handle it. She rubbed her head. "This is difficult for me to handle. Let the prince investigate it himself. I need to sleep for a while. I'm exhausted from this." Prince Rui's residence. The couple was leisurely drinking tea in the courtyard when a servant rushed in. "This is bad. The Prince of Beichun is here." Tuoba-chan was seen walking in imposingly. Prince Rui, with an unwise look on his face, asked, "Royal brother, what brings you here?" "Meng Xinrong hired an assassin to kill the princess consort of Beichun. I'm here to take her." Prince Rui, of course, denied it. Tuoba-chan continued with the procedure, taking out the dowry given to Princess Rui by the Empress Dowager. She pawned this to get the money. The number 1 assassin's bracelet has your name on it. The pawnshop's ledger also has a record. Frightened, Princess Rui immediately knelt and begged bitterly, "Prince Rui, your Highness, I don't want to go to the imperial clan court. It was because they humiliated me that time at the opera. I couldn't swallow that insult." Prince Rui looked at the woman before him with dissatisfaction. He thought, "What a stupid woman. I've spent so much effort to bide my time and lay low. The chess game I've so carefully arranged, yet you repeatedly provoke him. If this continues, I'll be discovered sooner or later." He looked at his princess consort with a surprised expression. He feigned magnanimity and said to Tuoba-chan, "Royal brother, I have failed to manage my household. I won't trouble you. I will give my sister-in-law justice myself." After speaking, he turned and ordered his men to send the princess consort to the imperial clan court. He ignored Princess Rui's wails and pleas and secretly instructed his subordinate, "The princess consort doesn't need to come back. Do it cleanly." What a ruthless and cruel man. In Yunzi Palace, Chu Mei, who was sleeping soundly, opened her eyes to find a scoundrel of a man in front of her. The scoundrel of a man was tracing her lips with his hand. "Don't move." Chu Mei was shocked. "How did he get on my bed? I must be dreaming." Tuoba-chan held her tightly and comforted her. "Your heart is beating too fast. It's noisy. No need to get excited. We're just sleeping. Not sleeping with you." Listen to these shameless words. Chu Mei, blushing, retorted, "Who's excited?" The scoundrel of a man shamelessly continued his output. "Then who was so thirsty for my nude portrait? Who spied on me while I was bathing? And who gets so excited they can't control themselves the moment I get into bed? She thought, I'm doing this for the mission. Chume could only say softly, Your Highness misunderstands. Tooba-chun forcefully pointed at her heart. Then why is your little dear heart fluttering right now? Chume could only turn away from him. It's because you suddenly appeared and scared me. Just then, a servant reported that a gift had arrived from Prince Rue's residence. Chume took the letter and read it. It said that Princess Rue had confessed to her actions and, unable to bear the torture of the imperial clan court, had taken her own life. Prince Rue had written a letter of apology. Chume held Tooba-chun's hand. The IT must have been your highness who stood up for me, right? Tooba-chun said arrogantly, anyone who touches my person is asking for death. Chume happily snuggled up to him. It's so good to be protected. I want to stick by your highness's side for a lifetime. Tooba-chun hugged her back. Good. No takebacks. As the two were being affectionate, a commotion was heard outside the door again. Chume, are you there? The young marquis had come to find Chume again. This left Tooba-chun speechless with anger. The young marquis arrived joyfully, carrying a pile of books. Seeing the stone-faced Tooba-chun opening the door to greet him, he was so scared that he frantically explained, Tooba-chun, listen to me. I'm here to bring medical books to the princess consort. A man and a woman were cuddling on the bed when they were interrupted by a noise from outside. It turned out to be the young marquis, who had come to bring medical books to Chume. He also took the opportunity to ask Chume for advice. His elder brother's birthday was in 3 days. Did she have any special ideas? Preferably something surprising, exciting, and soul-stirring. Just as Chume was about to complain about the need for such a terrifying birthday, she heard Tooba-chun quietly speak up, the Suntu River. Chume thought, going to such an unlucky place for a birthday? According to legend, the Suntu River is the river connecting to the underworld, with the Wangchuan Gorge as its boundary. To the north of the gorge is certain death, while to the south, there is nothing unusual. It is said that those who enter the Wangchuan Gorge can never come out. Beyond the Wangchuan Gorge, there is a flower called the equinox flower. In ancient mythology, those who can see the equinox flower can reach the other shore they desire. Tooba-chun, with rare enthusiasm, suggested, why don't we charter a painted boat, explore the Sunta River, and see the equinox flower? Little Monkey, upon hearing this, exclaimed how exciting it was, clapping his hands in approval. He took the opportunity to invite the Prince of Beichun and the Princess Consort to go have fun as well. Chume was puzzled. The prince usually disliked social engagements, so his suggestion today was very strange. And so, the three of them made an agreement. 3 days later, the sky was clear and bright, vast and open. Several painted boats leisurely cruised through the gorge. Chume watched the few people before her chatting and laughing cheerfully, and she grew irritated. They said they were here to explore. Yet he had brought Luo Jui and Kuqingji, and as soon as he boarded the boat, he hid away to discuss something with someone. Just then, Qinglian came forward and quietly told Chu Mei that it was unknown which power controlled the Suna River. They couldn't find any information. Chu Mei sensed that something was amiss. Luo Jui, who was behind her, suddenly spoke up, interrupting her thoughts. What are you looking at, Princess Consort? Chu Mei pretended to complain out of jealousy. I'm looking at the prince, of course. I thought I'd have a chance to travel with His Highness today, but I didn't expect to be cast aside again. Luo Jui explained, Princess Consort, you misunderstand. The prince is with Marquis Weiwu, clearing the way for everyone. After all, legend has it that the headquarters of Tiansha Pavilion is hidden nearby. Tiansha Pavilion was audacious enough to send assassins to kill me before. Tiansha Pavilion and the prince are old rivals. 3 years ago, they carried out large-scale assassinations. The main target was the Prince of Beichun's manor. Later, they were suppressed by the prince, and the organization was almost destroyed. There was such a thing, so now they've made a comeback. Although Tiansha Pavilion's power is not what it used to be, they have been very active lately. The prince really has it tough. Besides the White Lotus sect, he also has to deal with Tiansha Pavilion. It's not just them. There's another power we call the Chant of the Dark Night. But rest assured, Princess Consort, the prince is here. Hearing her own organization being named, Chu Mei was startled. Luo Jui waved a hand, pointing towards the valley. Ahead is Wangchuan Gorge, a place of legend. Just then, Little Monkey also squeezed out, shouting that since it was a rare trip to the Sunta River, everyone should go fishing for water ghosts. Seeing that everyone was in a mood for fun, Chu Mei frowned deeply. She feared Toba-chun was using her as bait. At this moment, on another boat, Xiaonan thanked the prince for the gift of a precious sword. Toba-chun thanked Xiaonan. We must rely on the general's help today to capture the ghosts in this Sunta River. He revealed his plan. If we were to summon troops, the commotion would be too great and the hidden people would surely escape. Just then, screams were heard outside. The two of them quickly got up and ran out. They saw the boat next to them about to capsize into the river. Everyone looked at the thing in the river, their faces pale with fright, shouting, "There's a ghost! A ghost!" At some point, a menacing skeleton hand had latched onto a fishing rod. Toba-chun flew over to Chu Mei's side, shouting, "Everyone be careful," just as the atmosphere became unbearably tense. Little Monkey laughed and said, "Everyone calm down. This is a fake toy I got for fun. It's made of cow bones." Who knew this Mizka would hook it right away? As his voice fell, he was met with death glares from everyone. Just then, he suddenly shouted, "Look quickly." On both sides of the riverbank were clusters of bright red spider lilies. Chu Mei couldn't help but praise, "So beautiful." Toba-chun stepped forward and put his arm around her, gazing at her affectionately. Behind them, Mizka was overcome with jealousy. A gentle breeze blew, lifting a sea of flowers. Just as everyone's attention was focused on the sea of flowers, someone hiding in the water took advantage of Mizka being off guard and pulled her into the river. Toba-chun swiftly threw a hidden weapon, accurately piercing the water ghost's arm. Toba-chun glanced at the situation in the river, then leaped into the water with a light tap of his feet. He pulled Mizka out in the nick of time. Before everyone could recover from the shock, the little Marquis shouted, "Princess Consort, be careful." Chu Mei was already being dragged tightly into the river by a poison whip that shot out from under the water. Toba-chun was shocked. He moved forward to try and grab her. The little Marquis, at this point, had already leaped into the water with a bound. Before Toba-chun could react, numerous assassins sprang out from behind him. Luo Jui quickly joined the fight, shouting for the prince to go save the princess consort. He recognized the weapon as the Heartless Whip. They're from Tiansha Pavilion. Toba-chun gave him a few instructions, then turned and plunged into the river to search for Chu Mei. At this moment, a thick fog suddenly rose all around. Luo Jui finally realized. No wonder it was said that once you passed Wanchuan Gorge, there was no way out. The secret was here. It was an illusion formation. In the water, Chu Mei swam as freely as a mermaid. She wondered how to shake off the assassin following her. Fortunately, her lightness skill was excellent. She prepared to go ashore first and lie in wait. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the water and grabbed her by the ankle. Looking at the little Marquis who had surfaced, Chu Mei asked in confusion, "Why are you here?" Just then, the poison whip lashed out fiercely from behind. The little Marquis roared, "Don't mind me. Go quickly." He stepped forward to block the vicious whip for Chu Mei, seeing that he was badly injured, and the assassin behind them had caught up. Chu Mei thought she couldn't fight him head-on, so she threw out her poison needles. The assassin was hit. Chu Mei took the opportunity to help the little Marquis away quickly, seeing that the little Marquis's injuries were truly severe. Chu Mei decided to help him remove the Heartless Whip first. The barbs on the whip are all embedded. Endure it. Don't make a sound. The little Marquis, even at this moment, wanted to comfort Chu Mei, joking, "I'm already this badly hurt, and you won't even let me cry out a little?" Chu Mei said, "I'm not afraid of attracting the assassin. Go ahead and groan." Seeing Chu Mei so serious, the little Marquis squinted and said, "Go on, take it out. I won't groan." Chu Mei then carefully removed the poison whip for him, bit by bit. After it was all out, she tore off a piece of her skirt, preparing to bandage the little Marquis's wound. "Why are you here?" The little Marquis blushed and replied, "Of course, I was worried about you, my friend. I wanted to be the hero saving the damsel, but ended up being saved by you instead." Seeing he had mostly recovered, Chu Mei suggested finding a place to hide. Just then, the man in black caught up to them again. Chu Mei remembered the effect of her poison needles. It shouldn't have worn off yet. She rushed out in an instant, flicked her whip, and knocked the assassin to the ground in one smooth motion. "Are you from Tiansha Pavilion?" The assassin wasn't afraid. "You're quite clever. You came with the Prince of Beichun, didn't you?" The Prince of Beichun wanted to capture us all in one fell swoop, but he didn't expect to fall into the illusion formation. So what if he finds the headquarters? He can't get out. Chu Mei was shocked. "What? He's trapped? Tell me, where is your headquarters?" Just then, the sound of rustling footsteps came from behind. The assassin was overjoyed. My companions are here. Just you wait for death. A dart flew over swiftly. Before the assassin could react, he was struck in the chest, his eyes rolling back. As expected, Tooba-chan asked worriedly, "Are you hurt?" Chumei replied, "I'm fine." But in her heart, she thought, what about Kuchingji? Why pretend to care about me? She leaned against the prince and said, "It's a good thing your highness arrived in time. The little marquis is injured. Let's go back to the boat together." Suddenly, the world started spinning, and Chumei fainted. The two men were so— Tooba-chan held her hand tightly, responding to her. But in Chumei's mind at that moment, she had fallen into the sea again. And this time, Tooba-chan didn't catch her either. He and Miss Ku were nestled against each other, watching her fall into the water. Chumei was overcome with anger. He lovingly stroked her head. The only prince— Chumei turned and asked, "Are your injuries okay?" This made Tooba-chan's face turn green with anger. However, he still instructed Chumei, "Once you've recovered, take the little marquis to find Luo Jui on the boat. It's safer on the boat." He himself was going to Tiansha Pavilion's lair to eradicate them completely. Hearing this, Chumei insisted on going too. Tooba-chan refused, saying it was too dangerous. The two had to part reluctantly. After Tooba-chan left, Chumei said to the little marquis behind her, "Little marquis, please wait here for a moment. After the prince and I wipe out Tiansha Pavilion, we'll come get you." The little marquis protested urgently. Chumei said firmly, "He's my husband. I cannot let him face danger alone." The little marquis could only pretend to be— Chumei looked back with a bright smile. "That's why you're my good brother." After she left, the little marquis stood there, dazedly savoring the words, "good brother." Chumei ran swiftly. Suddenly, an assassin appeared from the bushes. With quick hands and sharp eyes, she shot out a poison needle, felling him. She quickly changed into his assassin's clothes. After finishing her disguise, she couldn't help but wonder, why is the security at Tiansha Pavilion's headquarters so weak? Just then, this illusion formation can change according to one's thoughts. In an instant, enemies took the opportunity to attack. This is the Tiansha Grand Formation, with assassins hidden within the illusion. She thought this must be specifically to deal with the prince. She had to find him quickly. Before long, she saw a figure ahead that resembled the prince. Tooba-chan also saw her, but he hesitated, wondering if it was an illusion. So he attacked decisively. Chumei hurriedly dodged, anxiously explaining, "Your Highness, it's me." In the blink of an eye, Tooba-chan closed in. His sword pointed at her throat. "Who are you?" Chumei had no choice but to remove her veil. "Your Highness, can't you even recognize my voice? You are just an illusion. Don't try to fool me." There is a type of illusion magic that can make others appear as the person one most wants to see. "Who are you really?" Hearing him say that the person he most wanted to see was her, Chumei's face lit up with a smile. "So the person the prince wants to see most is me. Mayor is truly honored." This brilliant smile was the familiar mayor he knew. Tooba-chan instantly came to his senses, asking softly, "Why are you here?" Chumei said with determination, "To defeat them. They're using illusion magic against you, Your Highness. So Your Highness needs me." The surrounding assassins poured out. "Die, Prince of Beichen." Chumei reminded the prince, "The one in the middle is real. The ones on the left and right are illusions." In an instant, Tooba-chan struck, and all the assassins were wiped out. He affectionately praised Chumei. "You can distinguish between real and fake. The illusion magic I practice, although it can't completely break this Tiansha formation, I can still tell the real from the fake." As he was speaking, someone attacked from behind. Tooba-chan quickly pulled her over, blocking the blow for her. Seeing the endless stream of assassins, the two realized the enemy wanted to wear them down with a war of attrition. Tooba-chan suggested finding the person maintaining the formation to break it. Chumei focused her mind, held her breath, and used her aura sensing technique. The person maintaining the formation must be at the center of the killing formation, 10 li to the southeast. With the location identified, the two immediately set off. Suddenly, another person jumped out. "We meet again." He was the masked assassin, Prince of Beichun, Tooba-chan. Chumei said to Tooba-chan, "It's him." Tooba-chan said, not surprised as expected, "It's you." Bai Luo spoke, throwing a dagger. Chu-mei was puzzled why the man didn't dodge. It turned out his martial arts had been crippled by Tuoba-chun 3 years ago. Tuoba-chun recalled that day of bloodshed and could no longer contain the rage in his heart. Who was the one who issued the mission to Huangquan to assassinate me? Bai Luo looked at them with schadenfreude. Is the Prince of Beichen asking for himself, or for that dead, stupid woman? The woman you loved most died for you, yet you still can't avenge her. You deserve it. Tuoba-chun roared, word by word. You are not worthy to say her name. He stepped forward and viciously choked him. Beside them, Chu-mei's eyes dimmed. As expected, he still can't forget her. Chu-mei suggested, let's take him back as bait first. As long as we say he confessed, it will surely lure out the person behind him. Bai Luo, barely holding on, sneered. Save your energy, princess consort. It was the Prince of Beichen's own doing that led to Kuyu's death. It's retribution. He caused my country to be destroyed and my family to perish. No one ordered me. The ground beneath his feet is piled with bones. If I die, thousands more will seek revenge on you. With a slap, Chu-mei excitedly stepped forward and slapped him. Shut your mouth. War is inherently a matter of life and death. To vent on the Prince of Beichun is ridiculous. This scene thrilled Tuoba-chun to no end. It's the first time a woman has defended me. My goodness. Chu-mei saw through her scheme. You say there's no one behind you. Then how did Tiansha Pavilion regroup so quickly? You were so loyal, but I wonder if the person behind you trusts your loyalty. You can try killing yourself. Let's see if you're faster or if my silver needles are faster. Bai Luo sighed. Tuoba-chun, your princess consort is as formidable as you are. I've lost. Rather than being sent to my death, I might as well just tell you. The master of Tiansha Pavilion shares the same surname as you, Prince of Beichen. You can figure it out yourself. The master of Tiansha Pavilion is Tuoba Rue. At these words, Chu-mei and Tuoba-chun were stunned. 3 years ago, I was ordered by Prince Rue to assassinate you. It's a pity you didn't die. Tuoba-chun was puzzled. Why are you saying so much now? Bai Luo laughed loudly. That's right, I'm stalling for time. As he spoke, a flame shot out from his hand. It's useless even if you know. No one is getting out of here today. I will eliminate you, this future trouble, for Prince Rue. As his voice fell, a great fire erupted around him. The illusion instantly vanished. It turned out they had been in a sealed palace all along. This must be the top floor of Tiansha Pavilion. Bai Luo used himself as bait, wanting to perish together with us. Bai Luo was still shouting, Prince of Beichun, you can't escape. Chu-mei guessed there must be a mechanism on this floor. Hearing this, Tuoba-chun threw his daggers around to test the walls, but they were all bronze and iron, impossible to pierce. At this moment, the roof cracked and debris fell. The two could only cover their faces to avoid the falling wood. Tuoba-chun held Chu-mei in his arms. He looked up and saw a hole in the roof. An idea struck him. He held Chu-mei and broke through the hole. The two escaped, shaken but unharmed. The prince caringly asked Chu-mei in his arms if she was okay. Chu-mei replied, with your highness here, I'm not afraid, and then fainted. Just then, the little marquis and the general also rushed over. The Tiansha Pavilion assassins had all been subdued by them. Everyone decided to return to the boat to rest and regroup. After boarding the boat, the prince carefully took care of Chu-mei. At this time, Luo Jui came to report on the follow-up matters. Your Highness, this series of events is likely connected to Prince Rue. Prince Rue was previously in charge of court affairs, so it wouldn't be difficult for him to bribe the Ministry of Revenue and embezzle silver. It's enough that you know of this matter. Don't let it leak for now. This subordinate understands. We will just wait for him to walk into our trap. Beside them, Chu-mei kept murmuring, Your Highness, run quickly. Your Highness. Tuoba-chun went to check on her. She then threw herself into his arms, crying, Such a big fire. Ajang, run quickly. Hearing this name again, Tuoba-chun listened, but he still comforted her. Chu-mei was currently trapped in the sea of fire she least wanted to remember. She pulled Ajang, dodging everywhere, crying when she saw the person before her. She could no longer hold back and threw herself into his arms, crying. That person held her tightly, comforting her. It's okay. We're out. Chu-mei slowly woke up. Where are we? We're safe now. Don't worry. What about the little marquis? He was injured. Tuoba-chun replied, unhappily. Big brother took him back to the manor. You are my princess consort, yet you are so concerned about him. Chu-mei asked playfully, Is your highness jealous? Tuoba-chun insisted that he couldn't possibly be jealous of the little marquis. Chu-mei then reasoned with him. That day, when I fell into the water, no one came to save me. In the chaos, I met the little marquis. He was poisoned because he saved me. Now, I only see him as a friend who has gone through life and death with me. Just like your highness's care for Kuyu, I have never uttered a single word of complaint. Tuoba-chun wanted to explain something, but Chu-mei was lost in her own world. I know my place. Your highness likes Kuyu, or rather, Kuchingji. As for me, of course I can't compare. Seeing her think this way, Tuoba-chun stepped forward unhappily and kissed her fiercely. This sudden kiss almost suffocated Chu-mei. She pushed Tuoba-chun away forcefully. Sweet words immediately followed. You're the first woman I have ever willingly kissed. As for Kuyu, when you are well, I will tell you the truth. Can I believe him? Chu-mei thought to herself. Her stomach suddenly rumbled. Tuoba-chun quickly came forward to feed her by hand. Chu-mei ate shyly. Suddenly, she noticed a bloodstain on his clothes. Your Highness, you're injured. Let me see. Eat first, then look. Chu-mei didn't care. She snatched the bowl and drank it all down. Let me see quickly. Taking off his clothes and touching his wound, Chu-mei said with heartache, why didn't anyone treat this for you first? It doesn't hurt. I don't like others touching me. Oh, right, you're a misophobe. Tuoba-chun declared his love domineeringly. But now that you've come to my side, I will not let you go. Understand? Chu-mei marveled. Has he accepted me? Just then, someone came to report a visitor. It was Marquis and Marquise Weiwu. They came this time to beg the prince to save the little Marquis, whose injury from the poison whip had flared up. Chu-mei was very grateful to the little Marquis for saving her and promised to consult medical books as soon as possible to treat him. After the two left, Tuoba-chun advised Chu-mei not to be so hasty and to wait until her body recovered before looking. Wasn't it your highness who suggested going to the Sunto River and dug this pit? I have to be the one to fill it. Who told us to be husband and wife? Hearing these words, the corners of Tuoba-chun's mouth couldn't help but curl up. He saw Chu-mei rushing to consult the medical books. He reached out and pulled her back. You're not well yet. You're not going anywhere. My study has many medical books. I'll go get them for you. This gesture left Chu-mei stunned. His change was too drastic. Has he been bewitched? So she obediently sat in the study, waiting for a subordinate to bring the medical books. Before long, she found the cure for the heartless whip among them. Just as she was feeling happy, she suddenly saw a piece of paper that seemed to have been marked. The 9 Netherworld coffin can preserve one's appearance forever. This coffin takes only 3 years to awaken a patient in a living death. Chu-mei was ecstatic. Aging can be saved. Looking at the text in her hand that described how to save aging, Chu-mei's hands trembled. She thought about how this book was found in the prince's study. Could there be clues about the 9 Netherworld coffin in the prince's manor? Thinking of this, she called for Qinglian and instructed her to go to the headquarters to investigate news about the 9 Netherworld coffin. But there was no word from Qinglian for a long time. Chu-mei, unable to wait any longer, planned to go out and ask herself. Just then, she saw Kuchingji and Fu Shui walking towards her together. For some reason, these two had teamed up. They were surely up to no good again. They invited Chu-mei to the Peach Blossom abode for tea. After the three sat down, they chatted idly. Somehow, Kuchingji mentioned that the reason the prince often came here was because Sister Kuyu was buried beneath this peach blossom grove. Chu-mei asked, puzzled, this Miss Ku doesn't even have a grave. How does the prince pay his respects to her? But Miss Ku said that although Kuyu was not in her grave and had turned to bones, the prince used some method to preserve Kuyu's appearance, as if she were still alive. Chu-mei suddenly understood. It must be the 9 Netherworld coffin. But why was this deliberately revealed just when she happened to be looking for it? Thinking of this, she stood up and said she still had to test the needles to detoxify the little Marquis. She stood up and prepared to leave. Kuchingji, behind her, chased after her. Somehow her foot slipped. She tore off one of Chu-mei's earrings. Chu-mei steadied her, telling her to be careful. After Chu-mei had walked far away, Kuchingji behind her revealed a triumphant smile. Since you're looking for this 9 Netherworld coffin, I'll give you a hand. Meanwhile, Chu-mei was applying medicine for the little Marquis. Seeing his worried expression, the little Marquis asked if something was troubling her. When he learned that she needed the 9 Netherworld coffin that held Kuyu, he seriously reminded her, Kuyu's body will rot immediately after being removed. The Prince of Beichen will absolutely not let you off. I won't destroy Kuyu's body. I'm just borrowing it for a while. I will find a way to prevent the body from decaying for a short time. It's for my younger brother. He's been half dead for many years. Only the 9 Netherworld coffin can wake him up. I have to try, even if it means becoming enemies with the Prince of Beichin. Even if I die. The little Marquis comforted her, saying that if the sky falls, he'll be there to shelter her. Let's first think of a good method for you. The little Marquis swore to help her get the 9 Netherworld coffin. Chu Mei and Qinglian quietly snuck into the peach blossom abode and found the stone wall where Ku Qingji often lingered. The two guessed this was where the mechanism was. Activating the mechanism, Chu Mei opened the secret palace. After entering, she instructed Qinglian to guard the door and walked in alone. Looking at the exquisitely carved beams around her, she could see how important Ku Yu was to Tuoba-chun. Soon, she reached the end of the secret passage. She saw the coffin she had been longing for, submerged in water. Beside it was a tombstone hand-carved by Tuoba-chun. Looking at the beautiful, undamaged face in the coffin, Chu Mei felt a pang in her heart. Indeed, Tuoba-chun's feelings for her ran deep to preserve her body so carefully. She bowed gracefully to Ku Yu. My apologies, Miss Ku Yu. After speaking, she pushed open the coffin lid and took out a white porcelain bottle from her sleeve. This is all I can do for you. She then sprinkled the powder from the bottle onto her body. Suddenly, she noticed a mark on Ku Yu's hand. It looked very familiar, but there was no time to think. She made a vow to Ku Yu. Chu Mei, borrow your coffin today. I will surely return it within 10 years. If I cannot return it, I will also spend my entire life ensuring your body does not decay. Afterwards, according to the plan, she deliberately had the little Marquis send gifts in a grand sedan chair. Using this opportunity, she transported the 9 Netherworld coffin out of the prince's manor in plain sight. On the other side, Tuoba-chun and Ku Qingji were going to the secret palace to pay respects to Ku Yu. As soon as he stepped in, he smelled a strange odor. He rushed to the coffin. What met his eyes was a body that had already decayed. Ku Qingji's tears streamed down as she cried out, "Sister, where's my sister?" Tuoba-chun roared with trembling fury. "Someone burned Ku Yu." Ku Qingji threw herself onto the corpse, sobbing, and cried out emotionally, "Who on earth did this?" After saying this, she fainted from crying. Tuoba-chun went forward to inspect. He unexpectedly discovered an earring scattered in a corner. He picked it up and pondered, then returned to the manor and summoned Luo Jui to discuss the matter. The culprit's goal was the 9 Netherworld coffin. To get in and out quickly, they dragged Miss Ko out and burned her. That arm was probably overlooked and left in the pool when they were collecting the ashes. Tuoba-chun was puzzled. Since the culprit wanted convenience, why would they bother collecting the ashes? It was an unnecessary step. Ku Qingji cried and said, "That person must have hated my sister to the core. Your Highness, I beg you to seek justice for my sister." Your Highness, the earring. I've seen the earring you found. A few days ago, the princess consort and side consort Fu came for tea. That earring belongs to them. I mentioned the 9 Netherworld coffin to them. Tuoba-chun asked back, puzzled, "Are you sure? Why did you invite them for tea?" Ku Qingji said, filled with remorse, "They're the prince's wife and concubine. They should live in harmony. It was my carelessness. I revealed that sister was buried here. I'm the one who harmed my sister. But when I mentioned that my sister's appearance didn't decay after death, the princess consort asked if it was the 9 Netherworld coffin." Tuoba-chun was surprised that Chu Mei knew about the 9 Netherworld coffin. He replied flatly, I know." Seeing his cold attitude, Ku Qingji clung to his leg, begging him to bring her sister to justice and not to be partial to the princess consort and side consort. Tuoba-chun comforted her. "Ku Yu is not just your sister, but also my dear friend. I will not let go of whoever destroyed her body." He turned to go question the princess consort and side consort. Ku Qingji immediately jumped up and said, "Yunzi Palace is close by. I am willing to accompany your highness to question the princess consort." Qinglian reported to Chu Mei in a panic. Ku Yu's body was burned, leaving only an arm. "The prince is investigating the culprit." Chu Mei was struck as if by lightning and asked, "How could this be? She had clearly stored the body properly. Could it be someone else?" Just then, Tuoba-chun entered menacingly with Ku Qingji. He strode forward and grabbed Chu Mei's hand. He questioned her whether she had gone to the Peach Blossom Abode a few days ago and how she knew about it. Shumei explained, "I went to the Peach Blossom Abode for tea. I learned about the 9 Netherworld coffin from a record in the book you gave me. Outside, a subordinate came to report young Master Luo has found out that the princess consort was also investigating the 9 Netherworld coffin." Seeing the situation, Shumei could only say that she had studied medicine since childhood and was naturally interested in a coffin that could be used as a medicinal ingredient. Beside them, Kochingji shouted that Shumei must be making excuses. Tooba-chun, furious, questioned her again and again. "Can I still believe you now?" Shumei said with iron certainty, "I would not do anything to oppose your highness. Naturally, I would never destroy a corpse." Tooba-chun took out the earring in his hand. "This was found near the coffin. Is this yours or not?" Shumei still denied it firmly. He then said he would believe her one more time, but if he found proof, he would kill her. Hearing this, Kochingji was not pleased and shouted to search the palace. Just then, a maid hiding nearby clumsily dropped the other earring. Kochingji latched on Shumei like a mad dog, refusing to let go. Shumei instantly recalled the moment Kochingji had bumped into her that day. Tooba-chun, beside her, suddenly turned and grabbed her by the throat. "Is this how you repay my trust? Is this fun?" Shumei tried to explain that she was framed, but Tooba-chun turned a deaf ear. He asked angrily, "Where's the rest of Kuyu? Don't force me to kill you. Hand over the body." Shumei said helplessly that she really didn't know. Just then, Luo Jui came to report that Shumei's background had been discovered. After Tooba-chun listened to his whisper for a moment, he approached Shumei. "It was you, wasn't it? For revenge, Princess of Jinling. The kingdom of Jinling was destroyed by me. You went to great lengths to marry your enemy." Shumei did not admit it. "I never wanted to kill you, much less desecrate a corpse for revenge." Faced with Tooba-chun's repeated questioning, Shumei admitted she had a purpose for getting close to the Prince of Beichun, but it was definitely not to kill him. "I did indeed move the 9 Netherworld coffin, but it was to save my younger brother who was burned in a fire." Tooba-chun forced her to look him in the eye. "Are you trying to make me pity you?" Shumei angrily shook off his hand, passionately declaring that she wasn't asking for his pity. She really did not destroy the body. Tooba-chun could bear it no longer. He pointed his sword at her chest, asking word by word, "Where did you hide the body?" Tears silently fell from Shumei's eyes. "Your Highness can kill me now. I really don't know." Tooba-chun roared, "I wish I had never met you." Shumei slowly closed her eyes, resigned to her fate. She thought the man before her would kill her directly, but instead, he threw down his sword and told her to get out. Shumei reluctantly said, "Take care." She never expected that, just as she stepped out of the prince's manor, Kochingji would appear with a different face to mock her. Shumei knew she had framed her for all of this. She was the one who deliberately tore off the earring, and she was the one who deliberately burned Kuyu's body. Seeing her deny it, Shumei stepped forward and slapped her across the face. Kochingji clutched her stinging face and continued to provoke her. "The prince is convinced you are the culprit. You think you've seen through everything, but you didn't even know that a maid by your side was planted by someone else." After saying this, she was slapped again by Shumei. Kochingji's eyes were practically smoking with anger. She had gone to great lengths to come up with this plan to destroy her own sister's body. This time, she had to bring down Shumei. At this moment, Shumei thought of being wrongly accused by the person she liked. Tears streamed down her face. She looked back at the Prince of Beichun's manor with longing, secretly vowing that she would make him know she was not the culprit. Just then, the little Marquis was already waiting for her outside the gate. Seeing she had nowhere to go, he suggested she rest at his place. Seeing her listless, the little Marquis comforted her. "So you were divorced. What's there to cry about?" Shumei retorted that she was unreconciled because she had been framed. An idea came to her, and she asked the little Marquis to sneak her back into the prince's manor. Meanwhile, the prince, after hearing that Shumei had left the manor and gone back with the little Marquis, felt relieved. It turned out that when a maid dropped the earring, Tooba-chun understood that Shumei had been set up. So he played along and drove her out of the manor to protect her. After all, back then, Kuyu was just his dear friend, yet she was implicated and killed. Although she was stabbed at the time, it wasn't a fatal wound. For some reason, she died. That's why Tooba-chun kept the body to find out the truth. He gave Luo Jui a few instructions and then dismissed him. When he was alone, everything he saw reminded him of his moments with Shumei. He swore to the moon that he would find the mastermind and bring Chu Mei back safely. He got drunk every day, and even in his sleep, he called out Chu Mei's name. Luo Jui couldn't bear to see his master torment himself like this, so he went to question Ku Qingji again. After examining the body once more, he was surprised to discover a problem. The little Marquis came to the Prince of Beichen's manor, saying he was entrusted by someone to investigate the matter of Chu Mei burning Ku Yu's body. Tuoba Chen asked, "You were entrusted by Chu Mei, weren't you?" The little Marquis shook his head awkwardly. Tuoba Chun threatened him. "What do you think the Prince of Beichen's manor is? A place you can come and go as you please?" Just then, Luo Jui came with a box. He whispered something in Tuoba Chen's ear. After hearing it, Tuoba Chun immediately changed his attitude and allowed the little Marquis to bring a coroner to investigate. Then, Chu Mei, dressed as a man, walked in. Tuoba Chun frowned slightly as he looked at her. This little fox, she's mixed up with the little Marquis again. Seeing him staring at her, Chu Mei's heart fluttered. Tuoba Chun just calmly instructed them to investigate thoroughly, and if they couldn't find anything, to throw them out. Luo Jui, at the side, opened the box containing the remains and gestured for Chu Mei to come forward and examine them. After a while, Chu Mei reported her findings one by one. Originally, the time of the body's destruction could be determined from the remains, but it was discovered that this body had been preserved using 3 completely different methods. With the 3 methods combined, not even a great immortal could figure it out. As Chu Mei spoke, she was glad she had taken a voice-changing medicine earlier. When Tuoba Chun heard there were 3 preservation methods, Luo Jui quickly added, "Your Highness, the results of my investigation are the same. One method was likely from contact with a 9 netherworld coffin, preserving it for nearly 3 years. The third was the dry ice we used after discovering the dismemberment. But the second is similar to the Ministry of Justice's ice condensing powder. This substance can prevent a body from decaying, but not for long." Tuoba Chun turned and questioned Chu Mei, who was disguised as a coroner. "Do you know what this is?" Chu Mei explained, "This substance resembles ice condensing powder, but it is actually soul-soothing incense. Sprinkling on a corpse is for preservation, not decay." The little Marquis quickly added, "As far as I know, this soul-soothing incense is a unique secret medicine of Chu Mei's." Tuoba Chun was puzzled. If Chu Mei wanted to destroy the body, why would she sprinkle soul-soothing incense on it? Luo Jui guessed that Chu Mei did this fearing that the matter would be exposed, hoping for the prince's leniency. Tuoba Chun looked at Chu Mei beside him with a heavy heart. He had thought that by driving her out of the manor, he could keep her safe, but he didn't expect her to go to such great lengths to return. Since that's the case, it's better to keep her by his side, lest she be led astray by the little Marquis. The little Marquis then spoke up, saying that since the misunderstanding had been cleared up, he was ready to leave. But unexpectedly, Tuoba Chun turned to look at Chu Mei. "You are indeed clever, knowing to use this method to protect yourself. But if you needed the 9 netherworld coffin, why didn't you just tell me directly?" Chu Mei was surprised that he had recognized her long ago. "If I told you, would you have given it to me?" Tuoba Chun looked at her affectionately and said, "Word by word, I would. As long as you want it, I will give you anything." He stepped forward and took Chu Mei's hand. "Since you have proven your innocence, what reason do I have to drive you away?" Seeing the 2 of them surrounded by hearts, the little Marquis turned and left in a huff. Tuoba Chun ordered Luo Jui to find the real culprit and kill them without question. Tuoba Chun gripped Chu Mei's hands tightly, asking with concern, "Have you been well at the Marquis' manor these past few days?" Chu Mei wasn't falling for it. She shook off his hands. "So your Highness is finally willing to believe me." Tuoba Chun coaxed her. "I believe you. I believe you. Tell me, did anyone at the Marquis' manor mistreat you?" Chu Mei immediately became unhappy. "Everyone in the Marquis' manor treated me very well. The little Marquis is very righteous. If it weren't for him, I'm afraid I would be homeless on the streets. The little Marquis is loyal and righteous. How could he mistreat me?" Tuoba Chin's jealousy flared up. The little Marquis has a reputation as a playboy. Loyal and righteous is too high a praise for him. "Chu Mei, remember, you are a married woman." Chu Mei said directly. Mayor remembers, of course. Mayor also knows that her husband is at odds with her and drove her out. The little Marquis and I are just friends. There is nothing improper between us. After saying this, she asked if Tuoba Chun had any other brilliant ideas. She then excused herself, saying she wanted to get a good night's sleep. Tuoba Chun watched her retreating back, feeling like a fool. She's already back, so why are we still arguing? So he bounded forward and pulled Chu Mei into a tight embrace. "I'm sorry for wronging you. Then, in a grand gesture, he swept her up in a princess carry. I'll take you back to Yunzi Palace. After taking her back to the palace, he stroked her head. I was wrong, but you were wrong too. Think about where you went wrong. Chu Mei stated bluntly that she was not wrong. He tapped Chu Mei's little nose. You and I, as husband and wife, are one. What's mine is yours. If you want something, you just have to coax me for it. Chu Mei's eyes grew sad. I'm just used to being alone. You have me now. You're not alone anymore. I am your support. You can ask me for anything you want. An idea to ask for the military strategy book instantly formed in Chu Mei's mind. Tuoba Chun then explained his relationship with Ku Yu. I have no romantic feelings for her. We were like-minded friends. 3 years ago, on the battlefield, she was implicated by me and died. I used the 9 Netherworld coffin to preserve her body in order to find the real culprit. Chu Mei was very happy to hear they were just friends. Tuoba Chun gazed at her. I want you to know you're the only one in my heart. And the prince is the only one in my heart too. The two couldn't help but share a deep, passionate kiss. In the heat of the moment, Tuoba Chun slowly took off her clothes. For some reason, Chu Mei suddenly began to tremble all over. Tuoba Chun was shocked. Chu Mei, what's wrong with you? Suddenly, he caught sight of a familiar totem on her shoulder. The same one had appeared on Ku Yu's arm before she died. Exactly the same. Chu Mei knew this was the annihilation poison given by the young master, but she didn't dare tell him for fear of arousing his suspicion. So she explained it was a strange illness she'd had since childhood, which acted up at irregular intervals. Tuoba Chun held her with heartache. You are so skilled in medicine. How can you not even cure your own illness? There is no cure for this illness. Tuoba Chun already knew this was a poison, not an illness. It had been identified on Ku Yu's body long ago. Why was Chu Mei unwilling to tell him? Without an antidote, Chu Mei would likely die too. Looking at the forbearing Chu Mei in his arms, Tuoba Chun decided not to press her for the reason. He offered to use his internal energy to help alleviate her pain. Chu Mei refused his kind offer, saying she would just have Qinglian get some medicine. Tuoba Chun touched Chu Mei's forehead, secretly vowing to find an antidote for her. That night, with his company, Chu Mei slept soundly. At this moment, Luo Jui came to remind the prince that tomorrow he was to set off to escort the emperor to Mount Antai for the prayer ceremony. Tuoba Chun shushed him, telling him to be quiet. Do you remember the butterfly mark that appeared on Ku Yu's arm after she was poisoned back then? Luo Jui didn't understand why the prince suddenly brought this up. Tuoba Chun explained that he had found the same mark on Chu Mei, so he needed him to investigate the origin of this poison. Luo Jui accepted the order. The next morning, after Chu Mei woke up, she saw the prince sleeping beside her. Your Highness, you're still here. You're finally awake. Does it still hurt? Were you watching over me all night? You were ill. How could I leave? He held Chu Mei and told her that he had to accompany the emperor for the prayer ceremony today. After speaking, he held her close and instructed, be good and wait for me in the manor. Chu Mei reluctantly bid the prince farewell. Be careful while you're away. After the prince left, Chu Mei looked at the mark on her shoulder and wondered, could it be that Ku Yu was also poisoned by the butterfly of annihilation back then? Qinglian burst in from outside in a panic. Your Highness, a message by carrier pigeon has arrived from Gongzi. He wants you to return to headquarters immediately to see him. The scene changes. Chu Mei faces the man sitting on the platform, curtsies, and calls out, Gongzi. The man was toying with a folding fan in his hand. He asked her, I called you back to ask about the military treatise. What's the progress? Chu Mei immediately knelt to ask for forgiveness. This subordinate was incompetent. I have not yet found the whereabouts of the military treatise. This subordinate will do my utmost to find it. Gongzi stood up and walked before her. You're not incompetent. You've developed feelings you shouldn't have. I'll give you one more chance. Speaking, he contemptuously lifted Chu Mei's chin with his fan, forcing her to look at him. If you fail to find the military treatise again, your brother, A. Jing, who is barely hanging on, will breathe his last. Chu Mei was devastated, pleading helplessly, I beg you, Gongzi, have mercy. Chu Mei desperately begged the man before her. Gongzi, I beg you, save a Jing. Gongzi said nonchalantly, then I'll give him one more chance. He slowly helped the tear-streaked Chu Mei up and asked probingly if Tuoba Chun was not in the manor. Chu Mei replied that the prince had gone to the prayer ceremony at Mount-on-Tai. With ulterior motives, Gongzi wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. I'm afraid he won't be coming back so smoothly this time. Chu Mei asked with tears in her eyes, why? The emperor has long been unable to tolerate Tuoba-chun. This trip is called a prayer ceremony, but it's actually to eliminate him. The foolish emperor has actually done me a great favor. Chu Mei was greatly alarmed. What should I do? The prince is in danger. Gongzi ordered Chu Mei to return to the manor immediately. Find that military treatise, even if you have to tear the place apart inch by inch. Without Tuoba-chun, no one will stand in my way anymore. Chu Mei could only lower her head in submission. It turned out this military treatise recorded the method to conquer the Central Plains and restore the Jinling dynasty. He ordered Chu Mei that she must obtain the military treatise this time. Failure is not an option. And he reminded Chu Mei, don't forget your own identity. You are a survivor of the Jinling kingdom. Tuoba-chun is your nation's destroyer. Chu Mei was now caught in a dilemma. On one side was Tuoba-chun, who was about to be in danger. On the other was a Jing, whose life hung by a thread. She recalled Tuoba-chun's past words and resolved to find him, to figure out a solution together. Soon, she arrived at the young Marquis's manor. Only the young Marquis could take her to Mount-on-Tai. As soon as the young Marquis saw her, he told her that Tuoba-chun had discovered it was Kuchinji who desecrated Kuyu's body. He had Kuchinji executed on the spot. That Tuoba-chun is as decisive and swift as ever. Chu Mei urgently grabbed his hand, asking him to take her quickly to where the emperor was for the prayer ceremony. The young Marquis didn't understand why she wanted to go. The prince is in danger. I have to go. Although he knew he no longer had a chance, the young Marquis still promised, since you care about him so much, I'll take you. The two of them soon arrived at the foot of Mount-on-Tai. Tuoba-chun was very surprised to see them. Why is it this young Marquis again? Chu Mei ran anxiously towards Tuoba-chun. Before she could get close, Fu Shui blocked her way. Princess Consort, you are too indecent. The prayer ceremony is our dynasty's most solemn event, yet you are here with another man. What does that make of the prince? Not to be outdone, Chu Mei retorted, Fu Tsifei, you spout nonsense as soon as you open your mouth. Do you want to copy the rules for women again? From the side, Tuoba-chun directly pulled her over and into his arms, intimately saying he would take her down to rest. Then he turned and stared coldly at the young Marquis. Young Marquis, please see yourself out, leaving Fu Shui alone on the spot, fuming. Back in the room, a messenger reported that His Majesty had summoned him. Tuoba-chun told Chu Mei to be good and sleep in the room first, and they would go to the prayer banquet together tomorrow. Chu Mei was worried about the emperor summoning him at this time, and carefully reminded him, Your Highness, you must be careful. Just then, she noticed a strange sound outside the room. She quietly crept over to check. It turned out to be Fu Shui talking to a strange man. After the man left, Chu Mei came out and questioned Fu Shui about her indecent late-night rendezvous. Fu Shui naturally tried to argue, saying she just couldn't sleep and came out for a walk. Chu Mei stepped forward, grabbed her hand, and questioned her. If you don't tell the truth, I won't be polite. I still haven't settled the score for you planting a spy by my side. She forced her to look directly into her eyes. Who are you just meeting? What are you plotting now? Fu Shui stammered that it was. The scene changes. It's the next day at the prayer banquet. Fu Shui, who should have been sitting behind Tuoba-chun and Chu Mei, suddenly rushed out, interrupting Prince Rui's congratulatory speech. Wielding a short dagger, she charged towards the empress and the emperor. A frightened Prince Rui shouted, Protect their majesties. Tuoba-chun rushed forward and slapped the weapon from her hand. Restrained, Fu Shui knelt on the ground, screaming incessantly. Your Majesty, it's all because of this bitch. If I kill her, I can be with you. Tuoba-chun pulled her up and asked, What is your scheme? Fu Shui actually blurted out that she was sent by the emperor to spy on Tuoba-chun and never truly wanted to be his side concubine. Hearing this, the emperor was furious. What utter nonsense! Drag this madwoman away. Tuoba-chun stared coldly and asked the emperor, Is what she said true? Unexpectedly, Fu Shui quickly pulled out her hairpin and lunged at Tuoba-chun. Prince Beichen, you rely on your military achievements and look down on everyone, causing His Majesty sleepless nights. I will help His Majesty kill you. With a sound, a voice cried, Be careful. Chu Mei threw the water cup in her hand, hitting Fu Shui's hand squarely. Fu Shui collapsed to the ground. The emperor immediately ordered her to be executed on the spot. And just like that, Fu Shui met her end. The emperor didn't even glance at her on the ground. Tuoba Chun began to mock. Fu Shui's feelings for your majesty are truly deep. Bestowing her upon me was a waste of the beauty's good intentions. It's a fact that I've always been viewed with suspicion by your majesty. But to send such a person, you underestimate me too much, don't you? As the atmosphere grew tense, Prince Rui hurried over to smooth things over. Tuoba Chan paid him no mind, took Chu Mei's hand, and turned to leave. The two boarded the carriage back to Chang'an. Inside the carriage, Tuoba Chan guessed that it was Chu Mei who had cast an illusion on Fu Shui. Chu Mei explained that she did it so the prince would notice the emperor's petty schemes. Faced with his concern, Tuoba Chan pulled Chu Mei tightly into his embrace. He lifted her face and kissed her. Seeing Chu Mei's distracted look, he said, "Something is on your mind." Tuoba Chun asked Chu Mei if something was on her mind. Chu Mei chose to hide it from him again, deciding not to tell him about the military treatise for now. When he asked about her plans after returning to the capital, Tuoba Chun said frankly that with Chu Mei's companionship, he was willing to sheathe his sword and no longer meddle in worldly affairs. He held Chu Mei and asked, "Are you willing to enjoy the rest of our lives with me?" Chu Mei contentedly agreed, but the thought that she might not have such fortune brought tears to her eyes. After the two returned to the prince's manor, a subordinate reported that the peach blossom courtyard had been cleared out. Tuoba Chan told Chu Mei, "From now on, there is no more peach blossom courtyard in this manor. This is the justice I promised you. In the future, no matter what happens, we will face it together." Just as Chu Mei could no longer hold back and was about to tell him the truth, Luo Jui burst in. Not wanting to disturb Tuoba Chun, Chu Mei told him to go and rest first. It turned out that Luo Jui had discovered that after the fall of the Jinling Kingdom, some nobles escaped and formed an organization called the Hidden Ones of the Dark Knight. The leader is called MOU. This person has been seeking an opportunity for revenge. Only the princess consort successfully entered the manor. He pointed to the scroll. This totem is a poison mark exclusively created by MOU. The antidote is also his alone. Tuoba Chun had a sudden realization. So Chu Mei came from this organization. Luo Jui continued, revealing that Qiyu had accidentally drunk poison tea back then. That tea was originally meant to poison Tuoba Chun. After hearing this, Tuoba Chun decided not to alert the enemy yet, to see what this MOU's objective was. Just then, an imperial edict arrived from the palace. Hearing the news, Chu Mei hurried over to ask. The emperor's decree was for Tuoba Chun to participate in the hunting tournament in 5 days. Chu Mei was worried about him going alone and suggested she accompany him. Tuoba Chun didn't understand why she was being like this. Chu Mei said bluntly, "I'm worried. What if the emperor deliberately makes trouble and wants to get rid of you?" Tuoba Chun knew she was concerned about him, so he agreed to let her go with him. Meanwhile, in Prince Rui's manor, after going to great lengths to plant Fu Shui in Prince Beichen's manor, the thought of failing to eliminate Tuoba Chun made him so angry he could only smash his cup. He viciously cursed Tuoba Chun to step in dog poop when he goes out. A person slowly walked up from behind him. "If you want to kill Tuoba Chun, how can you do it without me?" Seeing who it was, Prince Rui gave a wicked smile. "You're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time." This masked Gongzi, upon arrival, stated with great confidence that he had a plan to eliminate Tuoba Chun. Prince Rui exclaimed that it was feasible and agreed to cooperate. The two quickly drew close, whispering and plotting. In Prince Beichen's manor, Chu Mei wanted to ask Qing Lian if she had prepared the things for tomorrow's hunt. She called for a long time, but Qing Lian did not appear. She found a maid, only to learn that no one had seen Qing Lian since the afternoon. Chu Mei sensed something was wrong and quickly ordered people to search for her. It was almost time to depart, but they still couldn't find Qing Lian. Just then, the sharp-eyed Chu Mei spotted a furtive figure in the distance. She shouted, "Who dares to trespass in Prince Beichen's manor?" Qing Lian walked over, covered in wounds. Chu Mei went forward to support her. "Who hurt you like this?" Qing Lian took out a piece of paper from her clothes. "Gongzi punished me. He also said that if you have divided loyalties again, none of us will get to live." After opening the letter, Chu Mei felt that this Gongzi was too ruthless. She told Qing Lian to rest well and that she would find a way to end all of this. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the hunting tournament. Prince Rui came forward to provoke Tuoba Chun. "Royal brother, I thought you wouldn't come. His Majesty has given an order, so this prince dares not disobey." Prince Rui teased, "Why hasn't the emperor appeared yet?" Just then, a eunuch announced the edict. The hunt begins. The sacred flame will be lit by Prince Baichin. Tuoba Chun accepted the order and successfully lit the sacred flame. As he mounted his horse to set off, Chumei walked over reluctantly. "Be good and wait for me. Your Highness, be careful." After saying their goodbyes, Tuoba Chun spurred his horse and rode off. Watching his retreating figure, Chumei felt she had seen that smoke somewhere before. Oh no, it's Song Smoke. She decisively mounted a horse. That Song Smoke is colorless and odorless, a potent poison. The prince is in danger. She followed closely after the prince. As she was riding, an arrow hit her horse's leg, throwing Chu Mei from the horse's back. A group of men instantly appeared from all around, surrounding Chu Mei. A man walked out, threatening Chu Mei. "Forget Prince Baichin. He's already been poisoned and is probably on his last breath. You might as well come with me." Chu Mei thought that a direct attack wouldn't work, so she had to use her wits and verbally agreed. The man told Chu Mei not to even think about using her illusion arts this time. After speaking, he ordered his men to guard the surroundings. Then he slowly untied his belt. "Such a fine day and beautiful scenery. Why don't we do something more pleasurable?" The man held his weapon and grabbed Chu Mei's slender waist. "You truly are a beauty." Chu Mei used the excuse that it was inconvenient to do things while holding a weapon. She seductively draped her arms around the man's neck and softly called him Gongzi. Wanting to quickly deal with this person and go rescue the prince, Chu Mei acted decisively. She stabbed a needle into his neck. "Go to hell." The man stammered in disbelief for a while. Chu Mei spat out the word disgusting and went to find the prince. Fortunately, she arrived just in time. At this moment, Tuoba Chun was severely poisoned and in a standoff with Prince Rue. Prince Rue looked gleefully at the sight before him. The weakened Tuoba Chun exclaimed, "Why are you here?" Behind them, Prince Rue gave the two no time to talk, kicking Chu Mei. "You bitch, you're not dead yet?" Chu Mei was kicked directly off the cliff. "Your Highness, take care. I can't accompany you anymore." Tuoba Chun shouted, "Chu Mei," and leaped down as well. He quickly and steadily caught Chu Mei. On the cliff, Prince Rue said in disbelief, "That fool actually jumped down himself." Oh well. He turned to the guards who had arrived and said, "Tuoba Chun colluded with assassins with treacherous intent. This prince discovered his wicked ambition and executed him. Now, follow this prince to protect his majesty." The two who had leaped down were fortunately caught by a tree. Chu Mei helped Tuoba Chun sit down and detoxified him. She forced out the poison. Chu Mei happily hugged the prince, relieved. "I was so worried when I knew you were poisoned. Now that the poison is gone, I'm so happy." Seeing her finally confess her love, Tuoba Chun smiled knowingly. Chu Mei didn't understand why the emperor was so bent on harming Tuoba Chun. Tuoba Chun explained that this was a trap he and the emperor had set together to lure out the person with treacherous intentions. It turned out they had long known that Prince Rue had rebellious thoughts and deliberately let him expose himself. Chu Mei still felt sorry for the prince for putting himself in danger. Tuoba Chun tapped her nose. "As a subject, there are things I must do. Besides, don't I have a princess consort who is skilled in medicine?" Saying this, he pulled Chu Mei into his arms. "Mayor, we've been through life and death together. Is there anything you want to say to this prince?" After some hesitation, Chu Mei finally confessed that she came to the manor to steal the book of Marquis Wu's military strategy. Upon hearing this, Tuoba Chun understood. He asked directly if it was Mo Yu who told her to get the military treatise. Chu Mei was surprised. How does he know everything? Amazing. Chu Mei looked at the beloved prince before her and explained why she was unwilling to tell the truth. "It was because I was afraid the prince would despise me. What I was afraid of losing was not the position of Prince Baichin's consort, but Tuoba Chun." He guided her to continue. "Then you must want to gain something. Besides the military treatise, what else do you want?" Chu Mei mustered her courage and revealed the secret in her heart. "The military treatise is not what I want. It was merely an order I had to follow. My younger brother is in Gongzi's hands. If I don't get the military treatise, I can't save my brother. I had no choice. What I want is only the prince's true heart." Tuoba Chun was willing to believe her words. In the heat of their passion, their fingers intertwined. Chu Mei explained to Tuoba Chun, "Before, I was like a puppet, constantly working for Gongzi for my brother's sake. Now, I want to live for myself for once." Tuoba Chun promised Chu Mei that after returning to Chang'an, he would take the military treatise and accompany her to report to her master, as long as Chu Mei was willing to stay by his side. Chu Mei quickly stopped Tuoba Chun. We can't hand over the military treatise. That Gongzi wants to use it to restore his kingdom. We can't plunge the world into chaos for our own selfish reasons. Tuoba Chun lovingly caressed Chu Mei's face. Then how will you report to your master? Chu Mei already had a plan for this. Let's go back and think it over. Tuoba Chun planned to act with her and wanted Chu Mei to promise not to take risks alone. Chu Mei couldn't promise, only calling out, "Your Highness." She thought to herself, Gongzi is ruthless. If he finds out we're in love, he will not let this go. Not only will my brother and I die, but I might even implicate you. At this moment, Tuoba Chun didn't forget to tease Chu Mei. What should you call me? Chu Mei shyly lowered her head and softly called out, "Husband." The royal family of the Jinling kingdom has the surname Helian. What was Chu Mei's name before? Chu Mei said frankly, "My name was Helian Wan." Tuoba Chun praised what a fine name it was. After saying this, the two shared a deep, passionate kiss, heedless of everything else. Completely ignoring the main villain, Prince Rue, who was on his way to attack the emperor. Unexpectedly, before he even reached the camp, he was surrounded by soldiers who suddenly appeared. A general, holding a memorial, read out the edict. Prince Rue has harmed his own kin and attempted to usurp the throne. Sees Prince Rue. Only then did Prince Rue realize he had been set up. They had already prepared this move. In the 12th second, the soldiers saw Prince Rue trying to escape. They all moved to block him. The general fiercely threw his sword. It plunged straight into Prince Rue's arm from a distance. Prince Rue was severely injured and fell from his horse. Unwilling to be humiliated, he raised his sword and fiercely stabbed himself. Seeing that he was determined to die, Luo Jui rushed forward to demand the prince's whereabouts. Prince Rue replied with a triumphant smirk, "You will never find him." Luo Jui saw that Prince Rue had already passed out, but he still hadn't found out the prince's whereabouts. He had no choice but to turn and seek the general's help. The kind-hearted general summoned his soldiers. "Search the mountain. We must find Prince Beichen." As soon as he finished speaking, the eunuch's voice was heard. "The emperor has arrived." He immediately issued an edict. "The traitorous subject has been executed. Prepare the imperial carriage to return to the capital immediately." Luo Jui saw that this emperor truly didn't care if Prince Beichen lived or died. The general stepped forward to report that Prince Beichen had not yet been found, and he was preparing to lead men to search. The emperor stated bluntly that Prince Rue was cunning, and Prince Beichen had likely met a grim fate. Prince Beichen died in service to the state. Build a cenotaph for him. After speaking, the emperor again urged the general to escort him back to the palace as soon as possible. The general had no choice but to accept the order. Seeing how cold-hearted the emperor was, Luo Jui vowed that even if he was the only one left, he would find the prince. The general could only take his leave from Luo Jui with great guilt. Luo Jui cupped his fist to thank the general for his sentiment. Just then, the young marquis arrived with his men. The general then had the young marquis stay behind to assist Luo Jui in finding Prince Beichen. The young marquis was also very worried about Chu Mei at this time. In a flash, night fell. Due to insufficient internal energy, Chu Mei couldn't leap up the cliff. And Tuoba Chun, affected by the sunk incense, had not recovered his internal energy despite being detoxified. Chu Mei tried several times in a row and was already drenched in sweat. Tuoba Chun told her to take a rest. Seeing his calm and unhurried demeanor, Chu Mei grew suspicious. But Tuoba Chun pulled her into his arms, telling Chu Mei to think about it from another angle. On a moonlit night like this with family in my arms, it's also beautiful. Chu Mei felt that Tuoba Chun was acting as if he had been poisoned by something else. Tuoba Chun told Chu Mei affectionately that being with the person one loves is a great happiness. Chu Mei also expressed her feelings. "You're the first person I have ever liked. From beginning to end, I have only ever liked you." Hearing this, the prince once again pulled her into a passionate kiss. He saw the mark revealed on her shoulder. The prince made a promise. "When we get back, I will search for all the famous doctors in the world to cure you." Chu Mei was suddenly jolted back to reality. This is not the time for romance. The matter of the military treatise and Gongzi has not been resolved. A plan formed in her mind. She had Tuoba Chun climb up along the cliff wall. She wove a vine into a rope and tied it around Tuoba Chin's waist to prevent him from falling. Tooba-chun was being difficult, insisting on taking her with him. Seeing that he was being unreasonable, Chumei threatened that if he didn't go, she would jump. Unexpectedly, Tooba-chun looked at her and said that cheesy line, "You jump, I jump." Such a devoted prince stunned Chumei. Fortunately, at this moment, from the top of the cliff, the voices of the many people searching for Prince Beichin were heard. Seeing this, Tooba-chun fumbled in his sleeve and fired a signal flare. The reliable Luo Jui instantly understood it was the prince. He ordered his men to throw down a rope and rescued the two. He anxiously checked if Tooba-chun was poisoned or injured. Tooba-chun explained that thankfully, Chumei was there to detoxify him. The young marquis at the side also came forward to ask with concern if Chumei was injured. Chumei shyly and immediately nestled against Tooba-chun. "Thank you for your concern, young marquis." Seeing how worried the young marquis was about her, Chumei felt it was necessary to say a few words to him. She gave a young marquis a solemn bow. "Thank you for your righteous and direct help, young marquis. It is Chumei's good fortune to have such a loyal and righteous friend." Hearing the word friend again, the young marquis could only say bitterly that he was content to be her friend. He wished Chumei and Prince Beichin a long and happy life together. Seeing their sweet interaction, the heartbroken young marquis felt that he was lucky to have met Chumei in this life. After Chumei and Tooba-chun returned to the manor, Chumei was still worried about the song smoke poison and took out an antidote pill for Tooba-chun to take. Tooba-chun took the pill and said frankly that he also had something for Chumei. In the next second, Chumei looked with a stunned expression at the book of Marquis Wu's military strategy in his hand. Tooba-chun told Chumei that she could do as she wished with the book and decide whether or not to give it to MOU. With trembling hands, Chumei looked at the thing she had been trying so hard to find. At this moment, Tooba-chun suggested he escort her with his men to see MOU, to use the book to trade for Chumei's freedom. Chumei obediently agreed. In the next moment, Chumei was filled with sorrow because after tonight, it might be a final farewell. Chumei offered to help the prince bathe. Tooba-chun gladly agreed. He undid the pin in her hair, saying frankly that they had been married for a long time and it was time to consummate the marriage. He then swept Chumei up in his arms and asked softly if she was willing to be his true wife. Chumei closed her eyes and agreed. The two then proceeded with a series of actions that cannot be depicted. After a while, Chumei was already fully dressed. Looking at the sleeping Tooba-chun beside her, she didn't want him to risk his life with her, so she had secretly given Tooba-chun a sleeping medicine. Chumei couldn't help but shed a tear. "Husband, take care." After saying this, she resolutely turned and left. But just as she left, Tooba-chun opened his eyes. He quickly chased after her, remembering Luo Jui's reminder that to find Kuyu's real killer, he had to start with Chumei. As he passed Luo Jui's room, he dropped a note. The note happened to wake Luo Jui. It turned out the note contained Tooba-chun's instructions. "Chumei and I are going to the hidden ones of the Dark Night. Send reinforcements quickly." Tooba-chun hurried to catch up with Chumei, his resolve to not let her face danger alone strengthened. Inside MOU's chamber, Chumei respectfully presented the book of Marquis Wu's military strategy. MOU flipped through the book, very satisfied with Chumei's performance this time. Just as Chumei thanked Gongzi, he gave an order, and Chumei was surrounded and tied up by several people. MOU, with a grim face, fiercely pinched Chumei's chin and told her how disappointed he was that she had presumed to fall in love with Tooba-chun. Chumei tried to explain, but MOU wouldn't listen. He reached for the soft whip beside him. "I warned you not to betray your motherland and your people, yet you insisted on doing things your own way." After speaking, he swung the whip, lashing it fiercely towards Chumei. At the critical moment, Tooba-chun arrived in time to save Chumei. He quickly untied her. Chumei rushed into his arms worriedly. "Your Highness, why are you here? I told you I wouldn't let you face danger alone." With tears in her eyes, Chumei murmured that she didn't want the prince to be in danger. In fact, all of this was deliberately designed by MOU to lure out Tooba-chun, who was hiding on a roof. Tooba-chun shielded Chumei behind him, telling MOU to come at him if he had the guts, and not to make things difficult for a woman. MOU, holding a sharp sword, rebuked, "Make things difficult for her? She is the Jinling princess. endorse. You destroyed Jinling, and she, who should have been noble, was forced to live like a begging dog. Tuoba Chun told Chu Mei to hide behind him and explained, I do not deny the matter of destroying the kingdom. Chu Mei is the person I have chosen. What will it take for you to let her go? Of course, Mo would not let Chu Mei go so easily. He threatened Tuoba Chun, you know the cause of Kuyu's death now, don't you? The woman you love most has the same poison. You can only watch as the important people in your life die, one by one in agony. Mo roared that he wanted him to taste the pain of losing his country and loved ones. With that, he lunged at Tuoba Chun. The two began to fight. After a few exchanges, Chu Mei stepped forward to stop Tuoba Chun. Mo guessed it was because a jing was still in his hands. Saying this, he threw a sword to Chu Mei, telling her to kill Tuoba Chun in exchange for a jing's life. Or, she and Tuoba Chun could leave, but a jing must die. Faced with such a dilemma, Chu Mei struggled internally. Tuoba Chun turned and asked Chu Mei if she believed he could save both her and a jing. Hearing this, Mo mockingly threw a dart. A pity you can't even save yourself now. Tuoba Chun, today is the day you die. The dart flew towards Tuoba Chun's vital point. Chu Mei shouted, be careful, and lunged forward, precisely blocking the dart. Looking at the injured Chu Mei in front of him, Tuoba Chun roared, don't be afraid. I will save you. I won't let you die. Enduring the intense pain, Chu Mei told Tuoba Chun that the military treatise was a fake. I said I wouldn't betray you, and I meant it. At this point, Tuoba Chun cared about nothing else, not the throne, not the military treatise. He only cared about Chu Mei. Hearing this, Chu Mei could no longer control her tears, letting them stream down her face. She asked Tuoba Chun to do her one more favor, save a jing. Tuoba Chun told Chu Mei that he would bring them both back safely. Chu Mei said with satisfaction that she would believe him. Then, she could no longer hold on and close her eyes. Tuoba Chun looked at the fainted Chu Mei and remembered Kuyu 3 years ago. She had also entrusted him to take care of her younger sister in the same way. Overcome with grief, Tuoba Chun laid Chu Mei on the ground and swore that he would definitely save her. At this moment, Mo behind him was waiting for this perfect opportunity. He leaped up and lunged at Tuoba Chun. Tuoba Chun's eyes were sharp and cold as winter as he shot a flying knife at Mo, forcing Mo to retreat continuously. Tuoba Chun, filled with rage, drew his sword and charged at Mo. I will not give you another chance to hurt her. Mo, seeing the sword about to pierce him, laughed mockingly. If I die, Chu Mei won't live either. Tuoba Chun's movements instantly slowed, and he pushed away the sword at his neck. He said only he had the antidote for Chu Mei's poison. Tuoba Chun was not threatened, saying, if I kill you, I can find the antidote even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Do you think I would put something so important in a random place? Now, you should be the one begging me. Enraged, Tuoba Chun had no choice but to release his grip. State your terms. Mo wanted to make a deal with him. The fainted Chu Mei at the side quietly woke up. She heard Mo tell Tuoba Chun to cripple his own martial arts and hand over the real military treatise, and he would give him the antidote. Seeing that Tuoba Chun was taking it seriously, Chu Mei, in a panic, forced herself to sit up despite the pain. Your Highness, you can't. Seeing Chu Mei awake, Tuoba Chun went to help her up, stating that he was willing to trade his lifetime of martial arts for her life. Moved, Chu Mei buried her head in Tuoba Chun's chest and whispered plan. Seeing this, Mo generously allowed them to say their last words. The two then whispered to each other for a long time without restraint. Seeing them talk for longer and longer, Mo grew impatient. At this moment, the two stopped their conversation. Tuoba Chun stepped forward and said he would never go back on his word. After speaking, he gathered all his strength. Instantly, his spiritual energy scattered around him, forcing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Having dissipated all his martial power, he collapsed to the ground. Chu Mei wanted to help him up. Seeing him in such a sorry state, Mo happily mocked the world-renowned Prince Beichin for being nothing more than a fool who lost his head over a woman. Then, he told Tuoba Chun to bring the military treatise within an hour. Tuoba-chun was shakily helped up by Chu-mei. He took the military treatise from his clothes. It turned out he was already prepared. Tuoba-chun walked up, saying he would trade the military treatise for the antidote. This time, MOU was not so easily fooled. He demanded to inspect the authenticity of the military treatise first. Tuoba-chun did not compromise, still insisting on exchanging the antidote and the book at the same time. Not to be outdone, MOU repeated once more that he would give the antidote after inspecting the book. This time, Tuoba-chun handed over the military treatise. At the same time, Chu-mei activated her illusion skill. The military treatise before him immediately revealed its true form. It was a sword. Tuoba-chun attacked with the sword. MOU was greatly shocked, but he couldn't dodge in time and was stabbed by Tuoba-chun's sword. He stammered Yuko in disbelief for a long time. It turned out that when Chu-mei blocked that blow for Tuoba-chun, she had cast an illusion on MOU. So Tuoba-chun crippling his own martial arts was naturally also an illusion. Tuoba-chun helped Chu-mei up. Chu-mei leaned on him and walked towards MOU. She remembered MOU saving her and her brother 8 years ago. At this moment, MOU couldn't help but lament that the sharpest blade he had ever forged was now pointed at himself. Chu-mei, with tears streaming down her face, pressed on MOU's wound. No matter what, I can never repay your kindness for saving a Jing and for your guidance these past 8 years. Using an illusion on you was a betrayal of that kindness. I don't want the antidote anymore. I will repay you with my life. I only ask that you tell me where my brother is. This time, MOU suddenly had a change of heart. While fumbling for something in his clothes, he said that the Hellion clan could not be without descendants. He tremblingly handed over the antidote as payment for Chu-mei's service to him over the years. His hazy eyes gazed into the distance. We are even now. A Jing is in the secret chamber. Take him and go. The Jinling kingdom is gone, but at least the Hellion clan can still exist. After saying this, he closed his eyes for good. And so, after resolving everything, Chu-mei and Tuoba-chun finally lived happily ever after.